It's fine. I'm
It's
gonna
not
start.
a friend.
I'm gonna start. Here
Yeah,
we
do
go.
it.
I'm pressing the button. Okay. When last we left you, Blue Hearts, you had returned to Arcadia after a long and harrowing journey through the Orc lands. While you waited for the orcs to arrive with your captured quarry, you found yourselves with some downtime. You visited Dr. Walden's workshop, where you perused his new inventions and had an awkward encounter with the Black Song. You set about constructing a vault in your stronghold, knowing that it was no longer practical to hold all your money at all times. You
At
began
level 14.
you began investigating your next bounty, Gravik Madmane, a bandit king in the Ebony Thicket. You learned that Gravik was a former paladin of the Soothing Hand, in service to the forest goddess. After speaking with the Grand Inquisitor, you discovered that this banditry was uncharacteristic for Gravik, who had been sent to parley with the Druids many years ago on a mission to search and safeguard the ancient places of this realm. The Grand Inquisitor asked you to bring Gravik back alive, for all paladins of the Soothing Hand were like brothers and sisters. Sissel spoke with Moira about the visions she had of the gem, as well as Archmage Edmund. Edmund had vanished for some time and returned to Fertum with terrible knowledge as well as the gem that Sissel had seen. The gem augmented his abilities in some fashion. What's more, all of Edmund's comrades, the other three heroes, as well as the legendary Skald Dagald Steelsong, possessed a gem of their own. You learned that it was possible that the Academy was covering up further information as well. Following a hunch based on the vision Sissel had of the gem slotting into her brooch, you all discovered that there were small gem slots on items you possessed, items that were heirlooms or pieces of great personal or sentimental value. With this revelation, you resolve to investigate further in time. So, as we pick up, is there anything you all wish to do, or should we just skip forward later in the week to when the orcs arrive?
I can think of anything.
I don't have anything in mind, but I was gonna say, out of character, Lauren. I'm guessing that you did not
I
listen to
didn't
what
tell.
happened.
Well, there's nothing got uploaded,
Yeah, I
but
was a dummy.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, that's okay. Well, I just as a heads up, yeah, like because of the way the situation was happening, we discovered or might have discovered that she has a gem slot on her bracelet. So you you have a thing like on the thing Emmeline gave you, and like you have like a spot for one of these supposed gems.
yeah, all of you do.
Yeah.
Even Goff, who has like a spot on his tattoo where it might fit. Which is kind of weird.
And we didn't. There was something with Walden that he wanted to give you, but we didn't do it because you weren't there.
Yeah.
So we can do that later, or I guess maybe go back in the number of days while we're waiting. Maybe.
Yeah, if you want to. If that's something you wish to do. Is that something you wish to do? Okay. So I'll say this happens before the orcs arrive in Arcadia. You all later in the week decide to head back to Walden's workshop. This time around, you actually, as you get up to Walden's workshop on the third floor, you actually do see that the doctor is in. It's not as last time the Black Swan was there instead. This time it's just Dr. Walden. She's nowhere to be seen. So as you enter, he kind of looks up from his tinkering and says, "Oh, uh, it's been quite a while. I heard that you were all taking a look at some of my new wares." And then he spots Mito and says, "I have something for you in particular you might be interested in." Okay, so he walks over and to one of his desks, and he grabs a what looks to be a metallic pocket-sized square. And he says, "Now, I tried my best. Um, this is something you asked me to look into making, and I think I did a fairly good job of it, given the time constraints." He takes the pocket square and he presses a little button on it, and he tosses it on the ground. And then, with a series of clatters and clockwork mechanisms that seem to be expanding, it very quite suddenly expands upward into what looks to be a clockwork horse.
Oh my god.
What
I-
the fuck?
Oh, you asked me to see if I could have a folding horse. I call it Walden's collapsible equine. It has 3 forms. There's 3 different buttons on it, and he actually walks back over to it and presses the button, and it folds back up. And he says, it has 3 different forms. Depending on what you want out of it, there's certain models essentially. Ones can be a draft horse for hauling large cargo. You can have a war horse if you need to do any mounted combat, or it could just be a racing horse if you need some extra speed. I, given what I've created here, I think 1,000 gold is fairly reasonable, considering that would probably be what the cost of 3 horses would get you anyway. He lights.
Do you?
What do you have? Did you pick
you
up any
need-
money from that vault when you guys were there?
Yeah. Like, did you pick up any personal money that wasn't put in the bag?
I picked up.
I
Oh.
didn't. I'm regretting that. I thought surely we'll have time to do this. Not right now.
Surely there won't be an eldritch monster.
Surely.
Surely we're done with that for the day, right?
Do you know me by now?
Apparently not.
I mean, you've never ambushed us in the middle of a
That's
vault
true.
before.
That's true.
In
Oh my
our
God.
fucking defense.
I've never
Mhm.
gotten ambushed in a vault.
What if we
What if
got
we?
ambushed in
I thought the same thing.
What if we accidental kissed in the vault while being attacked by a void demon from the dreaming, and we were both girls?
Mido looks over at you expectantly, Goff.
I'll I'll do that. Goff does that fucking face Tim Heidecker does in that one gif where he just like shakes his head and then nods, just like, and then he just opens the bag, and I guess you just take out whatever you need. Should we just subtract 1,000?
Well, what do you want to do? Like, are you gonna take it? Are you gonna use part of your own money, Lauren, or you want to just take it all out of the bag? Okay, so I could say
I'll
you
subtract
take 800.
800 from the group.
All right. So now, Mido, you have Walden's collapsible equine. It's got 3 little buttons on it. It takes a round to expand or compact once again, and it has the stats for 3 different types of horses: a war horse, a draft horse, and a race horse. I can get you the stats from it, or you can look it up themselves, or just the typical stats that you see in the handbook. But basically, they each have different speeds or different strengths. But I can get you that later if you want.
Now Mido can have a horse wherever the fuck she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you take 1,000 gold, Ren?
What?
I can't believe you. So that you could have 1,337 gold.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Wow. Fuck.
I guess, you know, you'll
I guess
have your...
Mido's not a pro gamer.
Yeah, you'll have your chance to be elite later.
After he hands over that item to you, he looks at the rest of you expecting. He says, "So, is there anything else I could do for you today? I have a few extra items. Well, the same items from last time that Villa might have shown you. And if you were interested in another one of those implants, I'm available this week." Kind of looks at all of you expectantly.
Certainly interested in DM, but I'm not sure if I can afford it right now. So
That's certainly okay. I designed it with you in mind, so it's not going anywhere.
okay, good to know.
How much was that one?
10,000.
Oh God, I thought it was 8,000. What was
The
8,000?
teleporter was 8,000. You bought that.
Oh,
we bought
fuck. Okay. Oh.
Horses in the back.
The
My God.
horse is folded in the bag.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Horseback is attack.
Yeah, you unfold it and then it plays it out of a speaker. It plays a song recorded by Deep Chris. I was gonna say something there, I forgot. I'm so sleepy. I'm sorry. What was it? I'm trying to remember what God was
I don't
gonna
know,
say.
man.
Featuring Deep Chris. The whole track is exactly the same, but occasionally you just hear Deep Chris be like, "Yeah!" in the back. He's just hyping up in the background. That's the whole thing.
This plays Country Road, actually, when you get on it.
Country roads, heading home.
I think we kind of cleared you out when you weren't here, sadly. But
Not necessarily. I still have any kind
well,
of gestures to.
I suppose I'll turn that around. I'll say you cleaned us out.
That's more accurate, I'd say.
In our defense, I think every time we come here, we can only really buy one thing. It is all quite expensive.
Well,
Which is your
We-
prerogative. You're a businessman. But
Sure, but I'm not much of a business or financial person, but we have a lot of people that rely on us to pay them, and unfortunately, we don't have enough to spare. I don't think at the moment until we get a little more.
We'll be
that's
back.
perfectly fine.
What did he say?
That's perfectly fine. I look. I completely understand. It is. I'm not charging much more than what the cost of development is. It's quite expensive to be making some of these items. But if you think they're too expensive, I can certainly make something a
No,
little bit more modest that might be useful to you as well.
I'm simply just expressing my regret that we can't help you further. Unfortunately, we just don't have the extra funds to help you.
He seems thoughtful about that. Maybe give me a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll put together a few things that might still be useful and might still
But-
be a little cheaper than this.
Well, sure. We're also, as we're also trying to construct a place to store any extra money, so we're not carrying it all the time. So maybe that will make things easier. I don't know if Viola told you we were thinking about asking you to help us secure it.
Ah, yes. I was informed. You certainly will let me know when you're interested and when you have some spare cash on hand. I can help you however you want. Secure biometrics, um, incapacitating gas, tripwires, whatever you need.
I think you can work with Ellen on that. But we think we need to wait for it to be dug out and constructed first. Or not dug out, I'm sorry, because we have a room for it. Wait for it to be built first, which may take some time. And in the meantime, I think we're going to be traveling while that's going on. So
Very
it might
well.
be a couple of weeks.
Very well. You know right where to find me.
Of course. Well, we did pick up that quabble
Ah, the quantum entangler. Yes.
sure, whatever
A
that
bit
means.
of experimental technology.
are you
If anything
certain
goes
it's
wrong,
not going to kill us?
well, let's just put it this way: if anything goes wrong, I'll offer you a money-back guarantee.
If we still have the limbs to give it to you, or take it from you, sure.
Yes, I'm sure we're going to.
It should be fine, I think.
I believe you completely.
You are a font of.
This is a very reassuring claim for those who are
It's
going
no
to
less
test.
dangerous. It's no less dangerous than a typical teleport spell, in my opinion.
Well,
Lives on chalk.
For all of our sakes, for our health and for your income, let us hope that is the case.
I'm very interested to see what the field tests show. I haven't actually tested it yet.
Great.
Well, I'm not an inventor. I
Well,
don't
not on a
fidget
mass
with.
scale. I've
I don't
teleported
fidget,
a few
I don't
things here and there.
fidget with gadgets, but I feel as though if you have not tested it with a live creature.
Well, live creatures certainly, but not, a mouse here and there, an apple, small
apple.
distances. Yeah, it's worked fine.
Well, if it works, then we'll tell you, and if it doesn't work and we all die, I will come back from the dead and haunt you to the rest of your days.
You won't be the
Doctor,
only ghost.
I don't know if you've noticed, I am quite larger than an apple.
I would say you're many apples, yes.
That is one way you could put it.
How many apples?
More
This is
than
like
5.
one of those carnival games. Guess how many apples?
And guess how
many
many apples
Golf
golf
way.
is? How many apples is golf?
It's like one of those fucking math book questions.
How much is Goff weigh again? Like 300
Uh,
pounds or something?
it's three. Well, let me look. I put down 370 pounds.
Alright, we'll say 370 pounds. I looked up the average weight of an apple. Goff weighs about 1121 apples.
Wait, 1,121 apples?
That's a
Yeah.
lot of
A
apples.
lot of apples.
We way overstated. We way went over Mida's estimates.
God.
Well, you were right. At least 30
Well, that's in
apples.
terms of weight. In terms of like space,
Weight, just weight.
Which is
not,
heavier, 370 pounds of golf or 370 pounds of apples?
I don't think there's any way in universe we can know how much God
they're
weighs.
the same. Because pounds are still pounds.
Well,
Anyway,
there's
It's just like versus Feathers guy in the background. She's just looking at that face. But Steel's heavier than Feathers.
But golf's heavier than apples.
they're both 170
I don't get it.
It's
What
just
you mean?
a moment.
Oh god! Oh no! It's Steel's heavier than Feathers. That's
She was
cheating.
heavier than feathers. Well, that was very. Yes.
Sissel points to a bag full of apples.
He looks-
She's like, that's
Sissel-
cheating.
Cicely looks at you really concerned. He's like, Have you been to a math class?"
Do I look like I've been to math class?
I haven't been to math.
Fair point. Well, this has been interesting. Is there anything else I could help you with?
I suppose you can teach us math.
I'm a little busy, but I can make some time, maybe. General times tables.
You don't put time on the table.
All right, get out.
All right, you just wore out the rest of my patience in one sentence.
I have stuff to do. Good to see you, though.
Catch you later, Walden.
Sure, all right. Connor's just like scratching his head. There's no idea what the
you
fuck
see him.
happened.
You see him. He's laughing. He's smiling. He's joking about it. But,
Haha, get the fuck out. Well, now we know how many apples Goff is.
Yep.
I was not information.
That was not a,
learn.
that was not a thing I expected to learn today, but here we are.
Have you guys seen that fucking Lemmy video where he just goes up to a water faucet and just it's like he's just showing how you can just get free water out of a water faucet? Have you seen that video before?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Damn, I can't make the joke I wanted to make then because it wouldn't make any sense.
All right. So, with that done with, is there anything y'all wish to do before we leap forward in time a little bit?
I don't see
Nope.
anything. I don't think so. Let's skip time.
All right.
Put
what
it
is
on
it?
the table.
Zorodo.
All right. So we will pick up later in the week. The Arcadian military has coordinated arrangements with the orcs who are going to be bringing Borgash to the city. And they've actually asked you, the Blue Hearts, to be present for the transfer should anything go wrong. So that's where we're going to pick up.
Okay.
You stand in the open fields south of the far corners, just before the break in the tree line that forms the pilgrim's path, and flanked on all sides of you are soldiers in blue uniforms. And you, the Blue Hearts, are standing with a handful of prominent figures. Right next to you stands Major Bowles, who's tugging a little uncomfortably at his collar, and beside him is Lieutenant Colonel Roberta Jackson, who's chomping on a cigar and carefully scrutinizing the ranks around you. Standing slightly to your left, looking out of place among all this military brass, is this throng of a number of black-suited parliamentarians. Chief among them, you see Senator Peter Vinto, who is scrutinizing this whole proceeding with a scowl. But in front of all of these people, in front of this big group of military personnel, front and center, you see towering above all his fellows, essentially the de facto leader of the city for the time being, General Eric Vogel. This towering Goliath who's adorned in all sorts of military finery, and his uniform barely contains his powerful form. And as you stand there, you see figures breaking way up the pilgrim's path, pushing through the tree lines. You've learned that a rock had teleported in and landed some way south, far away from the city as to not cause alarm, and now its passengers are before you. You see 24 orc riders on wargback push forward through the trees, eyeing the Arcadian soldiers warily. And then you see a wagon push up the path, driven by half a dozen green-skinned soldiers. The wagon itself holds a 15-foot high wooden box with a small caged window, and the box itself is wrapped in chains. Gliding to either side of the wagon, you see a dozen more orc shamans in their ceremonial brown robes, and leading them, you spot Urzoth. The wagon stops with a groan and visibly shakes from the contents within, and Urzoth steps forward, the warg riders parting to give her space. She steps into the clearing before the Arcadian assemblage. She says, "Representatives of Arcadia, I am Urzoth of the Evoking Hand, High Shaman to my people and clan wife to War Chief Logzol. I am here today to arrange a prisoner transfer and to discuss future diplomatic relations between our societies. We offer you this prisoner, Warlord Borgash, as a gesture of our goodwill and a promise of further favorable relations." You see General Vogel's eyes scanning the arrivals sharply, the lips under his bushy mustache betraying nothing of his emotions. And then he speaks in this commanding, booming voice, and he says, "Urzoth of the Evoking Hand, as leader of the Arcadian military and interim overseer of the city, I welcome you to Arcadia. Please present the prisoner. Afterward, I'm sure I and the senators would be keen to discuss our further relationship." You see Urzoth hold up a hand, and the orc soldiers who were pulling the wagon a moment before they climb up and they begin unshackling the box. With a groan, the door swings open, and you see Borgash's titanic form wrapped in chains from head to toe. And there's a dazed look in his eyes. And each of the 6 orcs grabs a loose chain on Borgash's form and begins pulling him forward. And Urzoth turns back to your group. Everyone is assembled, and she smiles, and she says, "Given how dangerous this one is, we took the precaution of administering a sedative for the journey. We have extra doses should you people require it." And you see General Vogel raise his hand. A number of Arcadian soldiers, they move forward to meet the orcs, to relieve them of the chains. And as they take up the chains nervously, Borgash stumbles forward mindlessly, and the crowd begins circling around him. And it's at that moment that Bowles, who's standing next to you all, kind of leans over to you and whispers towards your group. He says, "Looks like I owe you something."
I waggle my eyebrows.
You see him
Yeah,
reach into his,
we finally did one of these right.
you see him reach into his jacket, and he procures a large jingling brown sack. He says,
Eyes emoji.
2,000 gold in platinum form, duly paid. Hands it over to you.
Pleasure
All right.
doing business.
I am adding 2,000 gold to our gold.
Okay. as you're all kind of standing around, you see as Borgesh is taken into custody, he kind of stumbles past your group and he looks down toward you and he has this kind of glazed over look in his eyes, but he stops for a moment. And as this towering orc just stops dead, and all of the Arcadian guards and the orc soldiers stop and look at him nervously, and many of the orcs drawing their weapons. And Borgash looks down toward all of you, the Blue Hearts, and he lets out this low, guttural laugh. Look at the heroes playing guard duty. I'll be out again before you know it.
I don't say anything, I just stare.
Yeah. I just kind of like roll my shoulders, like.
I'll wink at him. See you then.
The Arcadian guards start pulling him again, and he starts moving away again as they're dragging him along. And he says, "What? Don't want to know how I escaped."
Sure, why not?
Who helped me? And you see Bowles looking a little cagey.
He say you as directed towards us?
Yeah, who helped me? Yeah, don't you want to know how I escaped?
Oh, who helped him? I thought he said you helped it. Like he knew that we, like he thought we helped him. Oh, okay. Who? Insight check on whatever the fuck he's about to say.
Well, if you're in a talking mood, I'm not going to say no.
I got 23 insight.
Okay. You notice Bowles looking a little. He kind of scowls a little bit at Borgesh and says, "That's enough. Take him away." And you see the guards begin dragging Borgash away physically, and you hear Borgash as he's being pulled away, he starts laughing, and he says, "It wasn't your lawyer or his robe freaks."
He said it wasn't.
It wasn't. At that point, he's pulled out of sight.
Was that our fault?
See Bowles kind of looking away a little bit, and he's gritting his teeth a little bit. And he looks back towards you and says, I have some paperwork to fill out. I'll see y'all later." He kind of starts moving away.
I'm gonna put my hand on him.
He immediately tenses up as soon as big old Goliath hits.
Detective.
I don't think it's a good idea for a civilian to be putting their hands on a military officer.
How about the friend?
Do I look like I give a care or know anything about that kind of ruling here? Do you know where I've come from?
Do you see who you're surrounded by? And he points toward all of the other officers, who are, a few of them are kind of looking in your direction at this point.
I have been in oceans of these men and women, all turned against us, fooled by the people in power here. You are my dear friend, Detective, Major, however you wish to be called.
He kind of looks down at the ground a little bit and he sighs.
We?
All right, but not here.
Yes, I know. Where?
Pick a spot. I'll meet you. I'll circle back.
I'll lean down. No, that's too out. I don't know any spots. Got this no spot. He knows where Bull's office is, and he knows like our house. I don't know.
Well, pick one. I mean,
we'll find you in your office.
all right. Talk to you then. And he starts making his way.
Well, that could have gone worse. We got money.
I'm getting the feeling that this is not a problem that is solved. And again, very few of our problems are ever solved.
I'm getting the feeling you're probably right.
I'm starting to think that this city is always going to have this problem. There's always someone undermining the good deeds and efforts of others,
No,
bringing it back down again to the ground.
maybe Bulls knows something. Maybe it's more complicated than we're thinking. I mean, who am I saying it's always more complicated, but you know.
I don't remember the last time it was simple.
Hmm.
At least not here, anyway.
Well, Watergash is put away. We got money. You want to meet up
Yes.
with our friend later? See what he has to say.
Yes. Yeah, sorry.
Mm-mm-mm.
Does it seem like the orcs and the Arcadians are
Yeah, at this point,
interacting pretty well?
you see that the warg riders have actually dismounted, and they are bringing their wargs into the city, following the Arcadians. Kind of sheathe their weapons, basically, and Urzoth is walking among the senators and General Vogel, and they're all speaking very actively as they're all making their way into the city through the far corners, up the road toward the main gates.
Okay, good. I guess we can just get the fuck out of here.
All right,
We've done our duty.
you have done your duty. Where do you wish to go?
I mean, I guess we could head towards the military building, HQ, wherever the fuck he has his office.
Okay. So you want to kind of circle around, like eventually make your way over to the military HQ for your chat with Bowles?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, were there people, like, listening to us?
Out in there?
Like, when we were talking to him before, like, were people watching us or listening to us?
There were like 50 rank and file soldiers plus a lot of the top brass and senators around. Yeah, they were all kind of listening.
I mean, I guess we'll just kind of... I'll kind of walk... I guess we could just kind of walk around, make sure we're not being, like, tailed or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that's a lot of, like, an excessive thought to have. I don't know. I never fucking feel safe in this city when we're not in our house because I just feel like there's always someone who's trying to fucking, like, get on us. So I guess just maybe take a little bit more scenic route.
Okay.
Keeping an
Yeah,
eye on
you
her.
kind of take the scenic route, wandering through the city, up through the market districts, and then west through the civic area, through the gardens, and up toward the memorial plaza, toward where the military HQ is. You kind of make your way in a very casual manner up toward Bowles' office. You find him. He's already down 2 cups of coffee, black,
Oh my
and
god.
he's got a kind of a half-lit cigarette that's still burning in an ashtray near him. He's got his feet up on the desk. He's unbuttoned his collar
Does he
finally.
look like he's more, like, stressed out than usual when we
Yeah,
see
he
him?
looks a little stressed. Yeah.
So we're, like, in his office right now.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is his office one of those rooms that's like anti-magic, or is it? Or
It's not anti-magic.
that was a special room that we were
That
in.
was a special room. Yeah. That was a special
Mm.
room that I think was in the prison, not within. No, there was one in here, right?
There's an interrogation room
There was an interrogation room,
or
right?
something. We met him in there once. That was like when there was a lot of like subterfuge and shit going on, and like we were like, we don't want to get spied on, and we need to tell someone that's not shitty that shit's bad. Anyway,
Just out of curiosity, when they took Borgash, I get
Mhm.
all the orcs' names
Borgash,
mixed up.
yeah.
When they took him away, what building were they taking him towards?
Taking him
Is
to
it
the prisoner, to the prison,
to the prison, and we're currently where?
at the military HQ.
Okay, okay.
I think that's across the city, isn't
It
it?
is across the city.
Isn't the prison?
The prison's down in the slums, kind of close to the Dapper Snapdragon, actually. I think.
Is it?
You know,
I thought it was somewhere completely different than
It
that.
might be a little further away. It might
Gatsby.
be more central. I have to take a look at the map real quick.
We can start a program to
God,
actually,
to reach out to XCOM.
no. So like it's like a number of blocks away, but it's actually pretty close to you guys.
That's terrifying.
So if you look
Yeah.
at if you look at the image, I'll link it in Discord because it's been a while. But basically, if you look at the image where it says Blue Phantoms HQ, that's you guys, and then Ainsworth Prison is to the west of that.
Ugh. Well.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought the prison was. I don't know where I thought it was.
Anyway, so we'll say that you made your way up to Bowles' office. You see him there. He looks extremely stressed as you enter.
Oh no.
Oh, what's going on?
You should probably shut the door.
I'll shut the door.
I'll shut the door and I'm going to roll an insight check.
Okay, give me insight.
I'll
check.
also do it,
All right.
just cause.
I never do it, but I feel like doing it.
21.
21. Okay.
I'm gonna roll my old dice
You know
because
what?
my
I'm
normal
also gonna roll an
giving
insight check,
garbage,
even though I'm
like-
not
I mean,
good at it.
Y'all just
know-
roll an insight checks because Ellen ain't here.
I rolled a 5.
Mine's
I mean, I know
16.
Bowles is one of the last people we probably need to roll insight on, but you know,
That's
whatever.
fair. 16, 21 for Goff, and what did Sissel get?
That's a hold on. 5 plus. It's a 5 plus 2. It's a 7.
Nice. Okay.
I'm so good at it.
He said, all right, so it's not that I wasn't truthful with you, but there's a little bit more to the whole dangerous criminal thing than I let on. They didn't act exactly escape thanks to Victor and his pals.
Okay.
They did escape on the same night, but there seems to be another party. They took advantage of the chaos that Victor was creating, and they broke out the prisoners. That wing specifically, they targeted the high security wing. Now, we don't know anything about them other than a few sketchy eyewitness reports saying that they kind of looked like men and women in just black leather. And at first, I thought it was the company, but this kind of work is too sloppy for the company. So I don't know who it is, but there's some suggestions based on some of the intel, a little sketchy as it is, that it might be tied to a few things from the war 30 years ago. There's been some implications that one of your bounties, the one that you haven't gone after yet, Leoboros, the one who had betrayed his comrades during the war, was put up to it by another organization. Seemed to want chaos in Rome.
Another one.
That's what my group is working toward. And he kind of motions out toward the floor where like all those magical recruits, like the X-Men group that he's putting together, are kind of congruent. He says it's not just that I'm bringing these people together to give them something to do. We're looking into this. We're looking into what this group is, where they came from, who's backing them, why they're doing this.
Hmm.
Have you seen them elsewhere besides the prison break?
Now,
We haven't, as a group, seen people in black leather that would match.
no,
this
I mean you've seen the
description.
company. The company wears something similar to that, but he's saying he
But
doesn't think it's the company.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's the company either. We have interacted with the company a number of times.
I do
Their-
agree. It
their
seems
mot-
a little
their-
too sloppy.
Their motives do not line up with breaking prisoners out for seemingly no good reason.
No.
If they're breaking prisoners out, And if this is the same group that was involved in the war 30 years ago, then they seem to be thriving on chaos and destabilizing things. And that's not good.
Well,
So we have to
the
ask
Hobbit,
ourselves who might
Didn't
benefit from destabilizing the government here.
didn't Borgash say that was kind of what happened the first time when he came up here? Am I misremembering?
No, you're not misremembering. Borgash actually did attack the Vale because he was taking advantage of the chaos of the war going on.
Okay.
well, it could be any number of people that could take advantage of chaos in a city like this. Weaving, I almost feel frustrated that I remember these sort of things, but I do know, based on my brothers and my father, weaving chaos in your enemies, making them just unstable or having distractions, to put it simply, makes it very easy to break them apart. It could be
Well,
anyone. It could be
Could be
any.
anyone, but I don't think it's just limited to this city. I don't think it's any of the players here. Because if it was, I don't know, this seems a lot bigger than that. This isn't just some gang.
No.
I don't think it's part of the government too, because we already rooted out that problem.
Hmm. Well, I
Well, this
wouldn't
is
put
weird.
anything past these suits, as you call them. But, I mean, you are the eye here. We spend a lot of extra time that we're not here, and you're seeing more than we are. At the moment, anyway.
Well, all I ask is if you find out anything, keep an eye out.
Well,
Make my job a little easier.
Borgash seemed like he was almost ready to talk. Is this not something you can speak to him about?
Oh, we'll be interrogating him, but right now he's a little loopy. Gonna have to wait a little bit.
the way he asked his question is what is concerning me. I feel as though the way that he presented it, though he was trying to taunt us, implies as if we would know who these people are. Do you not think that? I asked kind of towards him and the group.
Sounds about right.
He definitely seemed like he knew something that we didn't, and it was really funny to him.
If it was someone we couldn't have any idea that, like, we wouldn't, if we wouldn't know them, why would he ask the question like that?
That's a fair point.
It seemed to me the way that he worded it, that we might know these people better than we think.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
You don't think it's...
You all have certainly made a lot of enemies.
Do you know how many people were in the group that broke out Borgash and the others?
There was a number of them. Probably a good 10 or so. They planted charges on the back of the cell block, blew it apart, gunned down the guards, and broke the prisoners out. Gave them weapons, gave them passage out of the city. Struck down anybody in their way. It wasn't pretty.
Well, if there's 10, I suppose that eliminates what I was thinking. Maybe.
What was that?
It's complicated, but it's complicated. I don't think it's what I'm thinking. But we'll keep an eye out.
Alright, that's all I ask. If I find anything else that maybe you can give me a hand with, I'll let you know.
Alright.
I thought you deserved to know that it might be a little bit deeper than just a few escapees.
It always is.
Thanks for keeping us updated.
Once we've gone to the south and taken care of Grovlik, I believe we're going to try to approach this last one, and if you say this person has a closer connection to this situation than the others, perhaps we can get our answers for there if we don't have them by then.
It's possible. I already know that there is a a couple of bounty hunters that are heading out that way, so they might beat you to the punch. But
Well,
you might know them.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
wizard girl and a
Oh.
that was Aubrey and
Olive.
Olive. Oh yes. Well,
We do know them. They're pretty
even
capable.
even if they beat us to it, maybe we'll be able to just see them. And Roscoe as well.
Oh yeah, your little pal's not been around lately, huh?
No, he is
Super secret dog mission.
he is self-improving. He was searching for a hidden monastery in Ashea.
We'll say one thing about him: that's the most dangerous canine I've ever met. So
Agreed.
He's a
the only
very good
dog.
boy.
He's probably the only dog I could trust to travel on his own.
well, I have to get back to it, but again, if you learn anything, let me know. It's been causing me no small number of sleepless nights.
We'll keep you
Understand.
posted.
Thank you.
All right. And as we're turning and leaving the room, Goff stops, he turns back around, and he just looks at Bowles. He's like, "Really? Threatening me in the middle of a crowd of soldiers? Please. I thought we were past this." He just turns,
He just
knocks on the frame
sighs
of the
and takes
door.
another drag of his cigarette.
Mhm.
as I'm already out the door, he says a little louder, "You're better than that," and then he just keeps walking.
Go on. Kind of turn back. You see he's like kind of grinning a little bit as he's taking a drag of his cigarette.
Alright, so where from here? Do we want to head out, or what are our options?
Well, if you want, we can.
Can't.
If you want to go today, if you are fine with it, we could teleport to Evendell. Right? Did
wait.
we get a circle there? We have a circle there, right?
Yeah, you have
We
a
do
circle
have a
there.
circle there. Well, I could test out that thing. Not before I get my cloak back, though, because Boyer has it right now.
I suppose we could. You said that the item it'll let you teleport to a circle, right?
Yeah. So, have you read the details of the teleport spell?
I did not. I
Literally
forgot. I'm sorry. I can look at it right now.
It's a very big block of code.
I know. Well, I can.
Code? Basically, when you teleport, based on the level of familiarity that's in that teleportation chart, I roll a d100.
Oh. Wait.
and then
Okay.
determine.
So if it's a permanent circle, we basically are guaranteed to get there.
Yeah, if it's a permanent circle or if you have an associated object, this essentially means like you are attuned to it in some way.
Like in a monument or something, or a physical object that came from that location.
Physical object that came from that location. Do you remember in Critical Role when they had to plane shift to Ioun's domain and they needed like a tuning fork or something?
I actually missed that episode because there was a period of episodes near the end that I didn't watch all of them.
Okay. Well, it's
There was
basically like that. Like you
10
have
episodes
an
I
item.
didn't watch.
You have an item
Yeah.
that is attuned to that location that'll get you there.
Okay. All right. Well, so then that means that at least in this regard, that the entangler should work 100%.
Yeah, 100% if you have the teleportation circle.
All right. Well, then let's head back to the Snapdragon first because Sissel needs to.
Gotta
Get
get
her
coat.
cloak.
Wait, what was she doing?
She was fixing up Sissel's cloak.
Yeah.
Was she like?
So it's a little more accommodating for wings and.
Oh, that's right, for the wings.
Okay, so you make your way back to the Dapper Snapdragon, and Sissel, you go and you find Mora over at her shack, and you see that she currently has your cloak in hand, and she's doing some finishing touches with some needlework. As you look, you see that she has modified it a little bit so that there's very clear like openings for your wings to kind of fit through, and it's sort of like drapes down, so like they won't get in the way. They won't get tangled up.
Yeah, that's cool.
She's also embroidered a little bit to put
Oh.
little dragon designs on it.
Oh!
Yeah!
Cute.
Moira is the best.
Oh, Moira is the best. Mamra.
Moira's number one mom.
Yeah.
So she with a smile she finishes her work and she kind of walks up to you and she like drapes it over you and fixes the brooch as the clasp. And
Cecil just kind of softly gasps and like admires the embroidery on it and just gives Moira a big hug.
she hugs you back. She also like fixed it up a little bit because it was getting a little ratty from all your adventuring.
Yeah.
So she kind of patched it up a little bit.
Burned, melted with acid.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're the best.
I know.
Alright. We're going to be, heading off on another adventure, but we'll be back soon.
All right. Stay safe as always.
You
I
bet.
know you won't though. And she kind of gives you a glance, just a little side eye.
Cecil just grins.
She says, "All right, go off."
Alright. I'll see you later.
She waves and gets back to her work.
Kind of shouts indiscriminately. We're at the top, Aria! I'll see you sometime!
What did she say?
We're headed out, Aria. I'll see you sometime.
Oh, okay.
You kind of look up and you see Arya up in the tree, and she just sort of waves to you a little bit. You see she's like kind of practicing a few cantrips.
Big thumbs up.
Hello. Oh, hi, Ollie.
All right, so you've got your cloak, you've got your little quantum entangler.
Quantum entangler.
Nothing will go wrong.
Nothing will
Nothing
go wrong.
can go wrong.
Alright, we ready for this?
Yes.
We ready to test this baby out? How the fuck does this work?
It's a strange device. It's circular in nature. I don't know if I could draw it. Let me see if I can draw something. It's gonna look weird. So like if I did like a side view of it, it's kind of like a disc kind of thing with like a circular. I am awful at drawing, but you get the no.
Oh! Jesus Christ, Red! Come on!
Anyway, there's like a little button in the center. There's all kind of wires sticking off of it. There's like little glowing blue lights. There's sort of like a little ominous hum that it gives off.
Did Lola tell us how to use this thing?
You see, there's like a few dials for you to set coordinates.
I'm gonna
or runes.
I'm just double checking for the sake of the fact that traveling it will be difficult if we're not doing it all at once. Are Ellen and Verna both coming with us?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. I just want to just double checking.
No, they are coming with you. I am not making them miss this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's little dials and inputs for coordinates as well as runes if you have a rune sequence for a ritual circle. So you can.
Okay, and assuming I recognize those due to my experience with Ritual Circle. Okay.
I think that this is something you have to do, Cecil.
I just start fiddling with it, and I turn to what I think is the coordinates for Evendale.
Okay. So you pop in like the ritual runes for Evendale's circle, and you all gather around within a 10-foot square, basically, and it starts humming a little bit as it's waiting for you to press the button.
Oh, this might kill us all.
And just in case this might kill us, it was a pleasure knowing you all.
Hold your breath.
Hmm.
And hope for the best. And I activate it.
You slam your fist down on the big button in the center of this disc, and it begins humming and vibrating in your hand. And there's a little bit of crackling smoke that gives off from it. And at first, you're thinking, like, is it malfunctioning? Is it breaking? But then all the blue lights on it start blinking and glowing a light, and a blue orb of energy expands outward from the device, and sort of like the little time travel things they did in Terminator when like the Terminator would come through the rift and it would be like a big blue orb. Okay, it's a bad reference then, but it's essentially like a big blue orb that appears and envelopes your entire party, and then it collapses, and you are no longer in that space in the Dapper Snapdragon, and then it opens again, and you find yourself stepping out of this rift into the ritual circle where Evendell is. You find yourself the wind whistling past you as you are way high up in the trees tops of this treetop city. As you step out, you see there's a bit of, well, maybe not some commotion, but everyone's kind of moving around with a bit of purpose. A lot of the druids are kind of rushing to and fro, looking like they're making preparations for something. Some of them are running up to the elevator area, where the leaf elevator, to get up to the higher areas where Alonzo's location is like private sanctum, essentially.
Okay.
Everyone looks very
Um,
kind of busy.
well, okay, that works surprisingly.
It worked! Fuck yes! I didn't have to use shock for that one!
Wow.
We'll have to tell Walden.
I'm not sure why I keep doubting Walden. I think I'm just very scared of whatever these machines are. I've went from experiencing no machines at all to experiencing many several times in a row all the time.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of machine experience, and to be honest, I thought we were going to die for a second there.
Well, in that moment, you and I agreed on something.
Whoa.
Also, earlier, before we move forward, I think you and I might have had a similar idea about what Bowles was talking about. Were
Mm-hmm.
you thinking them,
The Blackhearts?
Sort yes.
Hmm.
I thought maybe, but 10 is too many.
Then there's too many, and I'd like to think that our other cells are maybe a little more competent than that.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think that they would be breaking prisoners out just to sow chaos. That's not their. I don't believe that's their goal.
Yeah. How
When
you
you
doing,
talk to
Hiraeth?
When you talk to a more worn, a much more troubled version of yourself from a different world, time, whatever, you get an idea of what they're about. I think.
Yeah. I just kind of pat Hiraeth on the shoulder.
Why? What did it hurt? What's wrong with
Kira
her?
doesn't like heights.
Oh wait, are we up high?
Yeah, you're up in the
All the
trees.
Oh, I didn't. I thought that the runes for the teleport
No,
was low. I thought it was like at the base.
The runes are in the circle of the land druids locale.
Oh,
Among the
okay.
branches.
That's
There's only
okay.
one area of the city that's higher, and that's where Archdruid Alonzo's area is.
Just pretend we're in a big bush. Don't look down. And you'll be okay.
Okay.
It's a big bush.
No, it's not, but you can say that.
It's
You
a
know-
big bush.
It's not helping every time you say that, Sizzle.
The resilience of your anxiety is incredible to me. You have the capability of doing so many things, including making yourself fly, and yet it still frightens you.
I don't go very high when I fly, usually. So if I do, I'm a bird.
You could also turn into a bird. I liked being a bird. It was nice.
The bird isn't as scared of heights as I am.
I don't think the bird's brain is big enough to hold that kind of fear.
I think it's like when some people get motion sickness when they're on the cart, but then when they're driving the cart, it's like, it's fine. I don't know what that's like, but
sure.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I've never. I guess. Well, so you said that there's people like moving about in the city.
Yeah.
They look like they're
like the druids. Like you're up in the area.
right.
It's more of like official for the druids. and you've kind of been granted access, and they're all kind of moving around, and they seem very busy.
Do they seem way busier than last time
yeah,
we were
yeah,
here? Do they seem
yeah.
do they seem stressed?
A little bit.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and you see some of them. They're heading up toward the leaves, which is the area of the city where Alonzo.
Is there one near us?
No, they're just kind of all rushing about. You can't really flag one
Oh,
down. They're kind of like all over. I mean, you can
well,
try to flag one down if you want, but
I suppose we must see what this is all about. This seems like a lot of energy for this place.
True. It kind of makes sense though, if they've been under attack for a while.
I didn't
Caravans
I
have.
didn't think it would be this hectic.
Maybe it's gotten
Should we
worse.
move? Should we see if we can talk to Alonzo?
I think that would be a good
Maybe
idea.
he's too busy. Well,
Well, we are
can
in the
walk
position
that
to
way.
help, so
Yes. I suppose let's make our way that direction and see what happens.
okay. So you make your way to the leaf elevator that's set in the center area of the city, and as you step on board it, it shifts a little bit under your weight, and then the kind of the magical waterfall that is moves the leaves up and down. These giant leaves starts ascending, and it brings you up high up through the branches into the very tip top of the city, where you see Alonso Squirrelbeard, the Archdruid's personal sanctum. And as you approach, you see that there's a number of more guards posted. And as you kind of gaze through the open doors, you see that Alonso is actually speaking to all of the heads of the various druid circles, as well as his major domo, who you see standing there. They seem to be in some serious talks.
Oh. Hmm. Is any of the guards like near us? Can we approach one?
Yeah.
I will approach one. And I will say, pardon me. What is the nature of this chaos? This everyone rushing around these meetings. Is something terrible happening?
We are preparing. The Druid Council is currently meeting to discuss the response to the tremendous creature we saw rise up out of the highlands a week ago.
Okay. Is there, while we're on the subject of chaos in the forest and nearby, have there been any significant struggles or problems with the bandits in the forest?
There are always bandits in the forests.
Well, we came here to address a particular one, but is this meeting something we must wait out before we can speak with the archdruid?
You notice that this guard is not one of the guards that you have typically seen flanking Alonzo's center of government, essentially. So he kind of looks at you sketchily, doesn't really know who you are. It's just, are you? I'm sorry. Um, are you an esteemed person? Are you representative of someone?
Goff just looks back at everyone else. How do I answer that question?
we are personal friends of the Archdruid.
I wasn't aware the Archdruid had friends.
Really? He's such a friendly guy.
He mostly keeps to himself.
Oh.
One moment, and he kind of nods to one of the other guards, who he whispers to him, and the other guard makes his way up the steps toward the entrance, and you see him speaking with the major domo, who is this elven man, major domo Diko Limnick, who you've met like once before a long time ago.
I remember
Wasn't he
that
like?
guy.
Wasn't he just kind of a rude man?
He was just a rude man. He's this
Mr.
very tall
Limpty.
elven man, is wearing this white robe with gold trim, He's got black hair that is tied back in a ponytail, and he's got a kind of fairly lean profile about him. And you see him speaking with the major domo, and then after a moment, the major domo kind of glances back in your direction, um, and eyes you a little bit and squints, and then he smirks a little bit, and then he nods. And the guard comes back down. He says, "You're free to go up if you wish."
Oh, you have my thanks. Was the smirk that the Domo gave like, just was it like a relieved or sinister? Like, what was he smirking? Like,
He's just smirking at your group, like he's like,
oh,
"These guys."
oh, okay,
These fucking guys.
okay. Like, probably didn't need to ask for permission or something.
Well, you don't
Well,
know. You don't know. I
I
mean,
mean, there's all these fucking guards here. It seemed like if we just try to walk in, they'd be like,
He's
"Hey,
dealt,
blah, blah, blah,
he's
blah,
dealt
blah."
with us
stop! You
before.
violated the law. No.
Prepare to pay your sentence. Or your life. Whatever the fuck that line is.
Have you heard of the High Elf?
Oh my fucking god.
Ah! Ah!
Yep.
Why
So that,
won't you die? Okay, that's my last word.
okay. All right. So you are allowed audience up into the chamber, where as you enter, to your left, as you enter the room, you see Major Domo Limnick standing there, and at the center circular table, this large table that is carved out of the tree itself, you see Archduke Alonso, Squirrelbeard, as well as the 5 heads of the other circles of druids that compose the government of the city. Unless you want me to describe them to remind you all, I mean, like, it's up to you. But so that's the scene as you enter this location, and as you enter, you see Alonso, who is just he's kind of slumped a little bit in his chair, and he has his head down a little bit, and he's holding his head in his hand a little bit, and he's got, like, like someone who has a headache. As all of these other 5 druids are just arguing back and forth across the table constantly.
So is he just like fucking this? Like,
Yeah, pretty much. And then as you all enter the room, he kind of tilts his head up and he looks toward all of you, and his eyes squint with like this smile as at your presence.
because we're here to save him from this monotony.
Pretty much. Just, and he interrupts this one tabaxi woman who is one of the druids that you've seen before. For a moment, he holds his hand up. He says, "Well, as interesting as this conversation's been, I believe we have some visitors."
I wave.
Oh.
We're Blue Hearts. I believe we're. Maybe you could give us some advice on this. You see, we're in a bit of a state of indecision about what to do here. You see, there was about a week ago. I don't know if you heard about it. This massive creature of black, horrible
No, never heard of it.
substance rose up out of the highlands, and well, might have spooked a lot of the people here. We're trying to figure out how we're gonna respond to it. A number of us want to launch an investigation, and others want to launch an army. And well, what are your thoughts on the matter, as travelers of this realm?
Well, we were there.
Yeah,
It was very scary and bad, but it's mostly dealt with for now.
You see, like, all of the druids kind of, as soon as you say "we were there," like all of the druids just turn in your direction and just stare at you.
hi.
Just wave.
That's us, the Blue Hearts.
You see this one head druid who is a gnomish man, very small, but bears a very thick mane of hair and beard, almost bear-like, like, not, you know what I mean, like an actual animal bear.
Huh.
He kind of looks toward you and he says, "What do you mean it was dealt with?"
Well,
We fought it.
we fought it. And then it exploded. And, well, now it's not there anymore, so...
You see Alonso kind of his eyebrows raise a little bit, and he kind of smiles and he claps his hands together and he says, "Well, there you go, problem solved."
Sissel and Alonzo. Just well, it blew up. It's not there anymore. Problem solved.
I think we can talk about this later. Maybe we can take a recess and I can entertain our new friends here. And you see this one woman, this elderly human woman who's wearing this simple white tan robe, and she has a blindfold across her eyes, kind of a walking stick leaning up against the chair near her. She says, "I believe that would be best to allow heads to cool." And she slowly stands up from the chair and takes her walking stick in hand and begins hobbling her way out of the room as the rest, with a kind of a grumble, particularly the Tabaxi woman, as well as what you recognize as an Aragonasi woman,
Ooh.
both kind of with a grumble get up from their chairs and make their way out of the room and kind of give you the stink eye as they pass. And
Goff holds his staff in both hands in front of him and bows his head, like he just holds it down, kind of in a weird half respecting because he likes druids a lot. He's just trying to be respectful in that regard.
so as the room clears, the only ones left in the room are y'all, Alonso, and Majordomo Limnick, who stands there for a little bit, kind of just near the entrance of the room. He just remains there, and Alonso doesn't seem to be bothered by it. But he looks toward Alonso looks toward the rest of you, and he says, what brings you here? Well, you've come all this way. I assume you have a mighty fine need of me."
Well, we came here to hunt down the bounty, but we saw that, you know, everyone was kind of in a tizzy, so we were curious and decided to see what was going on.
I mean, it's a good thing to be in a tizzy about. If it wasn't for the moment dealt with, we might have asked for your aid, but yeah. It was pretty scary, huh?
Well, you have to understand, some of the druids here are a little less concerned with the plight of our own forests, and they want to seek out evil wherever they can find it. So, and kind of gestures to the seats where the Tabaxi and the Ganassi women were sitting, and he says, "Seeker and Zephyr over here, they're always the most gung ho."
Don't suppose you ever seen anything like that, have you?
I'm afraid not. Reminds me a little bit of that beast of Blackvine well we heard about a while back, but
And yeah,
that seems to have resolved
was
itself as
similar.
well.
it was kind of related a little bit. I
Mhm.
suppose we should probably tell you that something like this might crop up again. We don't know where or how, but it's a thing that's resolved for the moment, but it's kind of like a bigger problem that we're still figuring out.
Well, we here at Evendale have got our own problems of late, so.
Quick interjection question.
Mhm.
He's like he fucking forgetting. Where did we find the black orbs so far? There's two. Where
You found one in Dog World.
Right.
You found
Okay.
one. You retrieved one after you slew Myron Hawk in
Right.
the other world.
So far, two worlds that were not the prime material.
Yep.
Okay.
You retrieved one when you defeated Contractor Gromlick, the
Right.
one that he ate.
Right. And then we
and
found.
the fourth one was in the vault.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So we have no reason to believe, other than his history, doing whatever the fuck he did in the past. We have no reason to believe that the Archdruid has seen one of these orbs before.
Yep.
Okay. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
What was the last thing that was said? I'm sorry.
He says, "Well, we here at Evendale have our own problems."
Oh, that's
of late."
right. Oh, well, what problems are you dealing with?
Oh, the usual. Everyone here is always in a conflict whether how we show our proper reverence to the forests, whether we should spread our druids far and wide or just focus on our own little slice of heaven here. I, for my part, just prefer to worry about those within our branches.
Well-
Fair enough. Sounds like you've got plenty to deal with.
So you spoke about a bounty. What could I help you with that about?
Well,
Seems a little bit mundane for something that I can give you assistance with. But
well,
if I have any information, maybe I can help.
I believe we came here, well, because the teleportation allowed us to the quickest way to get into the forest, but we also heard that the druids here may know something about this individual. But we came here when we saw that. We came to you specifically, as Sissel said, when we saw that the city was a bit more hectic than usual.
Well, you're here now. So, what could I do for you?
Well, we're looking into a individual named Gravik Madmane. He is one of my kind. Goliath.
Big.
Yes, very big. He was like me. He left the islands some time ago, and he found his calling, so to speak, in with the soothing hand in Arcadia. And I believe he was one who tried to guard ancient places, and he served Maliki.
The forest
And-
goddess.
Yes, and he was supposed to be investigating and protecting ruins here in the thicket. But as far as we are aware, something happened to him, and he was captured. Right? He was, and then brought to prison because he broke out.
Right, but he something
But he came
happened.
back.
Something happened to him here in the forests, and
Before he was captured, or after he got out?
before he was captured.
Right. Okay. That's what I was
So,
trying.
Something
And
happened
then-
here in the forest, and he became like a bandit himself.
Something happened while he was here, and it affected his mind. Assumedly, based on who we've spoken to so far, it sounds like him acting this cruel and attacking people is not like him. Something has affected him when he was here, and then he was captured and brought back and held in Arcadia. But then during the Eve of the Iris, he broke free due to some intervention we have not yet solved, and now we believe he is back here in the thicket once again. And we figured that if anyone would have any directions to point us in, it would be druids here, or anyone who's investigating bandits in this forest.
He kind of looks away a little bit, as if he's deep in thought. So, well, there's always bandits here in the thicket. People in the lawless land trying to take advantage of it. But there have been a few incidents of late that have been kind of peculiar.
They usually are.
Well, there have been a number of bandit raids on caravans making their way down here to Evendale.
Yes.
Some from out in the Vale, others from Santhalis Dale, where we get our food from. And the strange thing about it is these bandit raids, they never leave any casualties, never harm anyone, never take anything of value. They only take food supplies, provisions, things for daily living.
Oh. So they're not killing anyone.
They're not killing anyone, no. If they were killing anyone, we'd consider them more of a nuisance and we'd do something about it. But as far as we're concerned, this is just someone taking what they want. But what's strange about it is we have sent a few scouts out. Scouts here in the city. We've even enlisted the aid of the hunters over in Wild Hollow, and they haven't been able to locate where their base of operations are. suspect they're using the forest themselves to mask their presence. And if that's the case, then they've done something to hide themselves. And the only way to do that here in the thicket is if you have a powerful druid on your side.
I don't. He was a paladin, I believe, according to the Soothing Hand. So it must be someone else, unless someone capable of that kind of change. In learning so much in such a short amount of time, I
Certainly
don't
anything
think.
is possible, but kind of
Hmm.
looks over out the window again.
Do you
No,
know of any
I know
very
in my
powerful?
bones this might be a druid here.
You think there's someone in the city who's helping? Or
Not in the
someone who's
city,
left the
but
city?
someone who used to be in the city.
Do you know any powerful druids who have left? Who you may not have information on? Someone who seemed to have disappeared, or maybe they were a controversial individual.
What's your passive insight?
I want to say it's 20. Let me check. Yeah, it's 20.
As you ask this question, Alonso he continues avoiding your gaze and looking out the window a little bit. Kind of squints a little bit and bites his lip. I'm afraid I don't know anyone.
Do I get the impression that he's hiding something?
Big time.
Well,
But I think it's someone. I think it's someone who knows our way of life.
you're
Likely
afraid
corrupted the Guidestones in order to hide themselves. If that's the case, I might know how to re-engineer and help you find it. But it's a little dark, a little tricky.
What? Is he saying that the re-engineering is dark? Like,
The ritual to do
oh,
it. Old
I don't want to bring
dark
in.
forest magic.
I don't really know if I want to bring that kind of it.
Well, I could hold on a minute. Kind of with a stretch, he gets up from his chair and he walks over to a big book that's sitting on a counter. He says, "Oh, Deco, you've been keeping records of some of the bandit attacks that have been happening recently, haven't you?" And you see the major domo. He looks over. He says, "Yes, I have. I've been keeping track." And he walks over to assist the archdruid, and they both kind of peruse this big volume until they find a page. And he says, "Yes, here we go. It was a caravan from Santhalis Dale about 2 days ago. A halfling by the name of Zenzin was the caravan leader. They're still in the city if you wish to speak with them."
That is a good direction to go in. Okay. What was his name? Zenzen?
Their name was Zenzin, yeah.
Was it a halfling or a gnome?
Halfling.
Okay. Alright. We can go on that. We can try to find this individual and ask them. Now, you say, you don't think you know anyone who's left. If you did, do you know anyone else who might have known them? Maybe where they might have gone, any sort of connection they may have had to this place. But hypothetically speaking, of course.
I'm afraid not.
Oh, I was trying to be coy, but it didn't work.
I'm afraid not. Druids are free to come and go as they please here in the forest. We don't keep them locked down or anything. He's kind of...
Do I pick on him being cagey? Didn't I have a
Yeah, he's real
16?
cagey. He's real fucking cagey.
Goff is hindered by his respect for this individual, so he's trying not to be rude.
Arts Druid. We are trying to solve what seems to be a multi-pronged problem between Arcadia and your forest, even if this might not be perceived as a problem now if they're not killing people. It seems like something we should address, and any information you have will help us.
He kind of walks over to you a little bit. He kind of
He's
stands
very
over you.
tall.
He's very
Looking
tall,
up.
Kiraith, and he kind of he looks down towards you, and he smiles a little bit, and he places a hand on your shoulder, and he says,
He's gonna reach down real far. He like kneels down.
well, he kneels a little bit, and he places a hand on your shoulder, and he just smiles, and he says, young Seal Song, I trust you. If I had information to share, I'd share it.
Is he lying?
Just a little twinkle in his eye as he kind of stands up again, and his hand kind of brushes downward towards your hand, Hiraeth, and you feel something get placed.
Ah.
Finger guns. That's what I'm doing right now.
Well,
it can't be
certainly we
helped.
feel the same for you, so hopefully no one's trust is misplaced.
Well, I trust you. You know your way about the city. If there's any other
Unfortunately.
information I can help you with, then feel free to ask. But
Well, I think that we've gotten as much as we can here, and we bothered you enough. You've
if you
always you've been a
decide
great
you
help.
if you decide you want to pursue that dark forest ritual to try to locate
Well,
this hideout, just feel free to ask.
I
It does require gathering a few ingredients, and some of those ingredients might come from live sentient creatures. But I'll
why are
leave
you
the
so
morality of
willing
that
to
to
do
you.
this? If it's dark force, wouldn't you want to avoid it at all costs?
Uh,
Do I misunderstand the nature of this
Just-
ritual?
he smiles a little bit and he says, "Friend, I've been alive for well over 1,000 years, and there may be a few things you don't know about me." He kind of looks a little sad in his eyes when he says that.
I just don't. We deal with so much darkness in this world as it is. I just don't want to willingly bring more of it in. You understand?
It's not that way.
Oh,
It's not like that. When I say dark forest magic, I mean it's a bit of a perversion of the natural magics that we druids. It's a minor corruption.
Is it a
But
taboo?
it's fairly taboo. But I am the archdruid, and this would be a necessity, wouldn't it?
I suppose. Well, I think we'll discuss it. Maybe we'll go to speak with this halfling, and but there is something actually. You have helped us, but I think there's something that I could tell you to help you. I don't know. I feel like we didn't have a discussion about this before. So if I'm talking to you about something he's talked about us before, I'm sorry because I can't fucking remember. In regards to that creature, the thing you saw grow over the highlands.
Yes.
As Cecil said, it is dealt with for now, but I have a feeling it could come up again. And what caused it in the first place? I'm gonna flip through my book and pull out a sketch of one of the orbs. I mean, they're basically just like dark, glass balls.
They're not really glass. They're kind of like they feel like water when you touch them, like really cold water.
Oh. Well, I do whatever Goff's best rendition of it is.
Okay.
Because he's definitely sketched one before.
Yep.
And he'll pull. If you've ever seen anything like this, when you're near it or when you touch it, it whispers to you. It tries to wrest control of your mind. We have found these before, and when two came close together, that was the result. So if you see one of these things, keep it far, far away from another, and if best, it's best if you don't touch it. I thought, well...
Diego, could you leave the room for me, please? And the Majordomo kind of raises his eyebrows in surprise. And
I mean, I'm kind of like saying this towards him specifically.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not like projecting it out of the room, so I don't know.
I know you're not. So
okay. I just didn't know if Domo could hear it or not. I didn't know if
Majordomo leaves the room. He says, "What do you know about these?"
Well, we know that they seem to be, whenever there is darkness or terrible things occurring, that they tend to be at the source of the core of it. We have found them in different planes. Where our dog friend comes from, we found one there, though that may have been the least offensive one. We found one in another realm, a strange dark world. We found, oh fuck, I already forgot. We
One from the company.
We found one being used by a corrupt member of the company, that those individuals, and then
Well,
one was found in the vaults of an orc over in the highway.
there's many of these things, world and the multiverse over. Have you heard of the Scion?
Yes, but only the name, and that I believe it is involved with the dreaming.
There's a legend that goes back to the founding of everything, the multiverse. It's known as the Scion of the Chained God. Now, Chained God was one of the greater deities who fell and was corrupted, ended up creating the abyss where the demons dwell, and he was chained by a tribunal of other deities. But the chained god, he created something that it's hard to explain, but essentially it has the power to break those chains. But the gods saw through this plan as well, and they shattered this being across the multiverse. And ever since then, for thousands and thousands of years, it has been trying to find itself and piece itself back together so that and if it can, then the chained god will be freed.
So
How
there are
many-
pieces of it.
How many?
Hundreds, thousands, maybe. It's been going on for a very long time.
Well, unfortunately, due to our lack of knowledge, two of them have reunited. And that was the result.
Have reunited, but I know very little about the comings and goings of these orbs, only that they exist and that bringing them all together spells certain doom for everybody.
Well, it is terrifying and to know, but also good to know at least something about them for once. So, do you know anything of this gray man?
I know of the presence of a man in gray who's been throughout the history of this realm and others who has sought these orbs.
Is the gray man part of this scion, or is it something else?
I have no idea. It's possible.
Yes, well, we believe that when the iris filled the sky, that in that evening he escaped into this world, and we have no reason to believe otherwise. He has followed us. We believe, at least somewhat, while traveling, so he is unfortunately among us somewhere.
Then I'd watch your backs.
Oh, we try. But for your sake and for your people's sake, this is not, I think, is important, even if you do not tell anyone else about it. Having at least you know of it, knowing what to look out for, and then I suppose that my news for you is nothing new. You already were aware of what we only just learned in the hardest way we could. I wish we'd only had thought to ask about what would happen if two of these things came close to each other. If only two of them created that thing, I can't imagine more.
Well, let's try to avoid that.
And for what it's worth, I believe sooner or later it'll be worth a lot. Arcadia has two of these things. They are in containment, they are held in an anti-magic room. but they are separate, but they are there, and they are. If someone has too much control or knowledge, they could easily get at them.
Well, then perhaps I'll have to have a certain chat with the Arcadians. But that will be something I deal with.
All right. Well, yes. We are doing our best to deal with all of these things all happening at once.
Well, you're only a single group of people. You're not expected to save everyone. You're not expected to handle it all yourselves.
Right. But even what we're able to do has been very difficult. I just wish the pile would stop growing and that we'd be able to focus on one thing before the next pops up. It seems like there's just
I'd
more
say
and more
for now,
things.
just focus on this bounty you're after.
Yes, yes. Well,
Well, I think I've kept the other druids long enough.
yes.
Should get back to listening to them bicker.
One more question out of curiosity. Have you opened up any sort of communication with the Orc Society that's been growing?
We
Or
have
have you
thought of it, but
well,
we're
I know
waiting to
that
see if they approach us first.
that's fair. They are actually approaching the Arcadians at this very moment to open up
Well, I'm sure that
communications.
we'll be far more hospitable to them. In any event, I shouldn't keep too much longer.
Yes, my apologies, Archdruid. Thank you so much for your time and your help.
Kind
We
of,
will.
he nods and he gives you a little wink. You take care now.
You
You
too.
as well.
He hobbles on back over to his seat. And as you turn, you see the doors
Oh.
open, and
Never mind. I'll speak with you later. I had a thought, but you have things to do. I'll see, and I'll turn
he
back around.
waves as all the other druids and the majordomo come back in, and they reconvene.
I forgot about the storm mode, but now I don't want to be rude, so I'll talk to him about it later.
Okay, so as you exit the Archdruid's chambers, just kind of make your way back down the stairs toward where the elevator is. What do you wish to do?
Well, oh, I sensed that he knew something about a druid, but I didn't know how to go about asking that question.
It seems maybe he wasn't able to talk about it in front of his friend, and I pull out
Oh,
the paper and roll it between my fingers.
did he hand that to you?
He did.
I didn't even notice.
I'll hand it to Goff so he can read it.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, okay. You don't have to. Okay, you can read if you want.
I mean, you'll probably read it aloud. It's fine.
I'll look at it. What does it say?
All right. It's just two words. Archdruid Kiarl.
How is that spelled? The name?
I will put it in chat.
Kiarl.
Kirill.
Do we know? There's only one Archdruid at a time, right? Or can there be multiple?
You don't know. I mean, Archdruids are just very, very old druids.
Oh.
Hmm.
Okay.
This is pretty dire if it's an Archdruid on their side.
Oh. How do we ask about this name without who? If we can't ask Alonso about this directly, who could we ask? We don't know anyone else in here that we can really rely on.
Can talk to one of the other.
They said they were attacking caravans.
Yes.
Why don't we
We
find
could
a
ask the
caravan?
halfling. That you mentioned the halfling, right? Maybe. What if they have a they have a library here, right?
You don't know.
Do you think that they have a library or
There's a
mean-
guard outside, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of guards.
Hey, do you guys have a library here?
Um, sure, yes. We have places where we keep all of our knowledge.
is it available to
Of course.
the public, or is it special or
No, of
locked?
course. It's down in the hollows.
Okay,
Well, worth
See
taking a
about
look there.
maybe we can. I'm saying this to the group and not the guards. Maybe we can find information about this individual there, and then talk to this Zen as well.
Sounds good to me. Let's go to the library.
Blah, blah.
Okay,
Blah
so you
blah
hop.
blah.
Y'all are always going to the library. What a riveting time we have.
What? We
It
don't have
wasn't
information, and we need
my
information.
suggestion.
It's just funny. Like instead of just talking to people, you're like, I'm gonna read a book.
Falk, here's the thing about books.
Can't suspect us.
Books can't. Books can't. Books can't.
It's
Yeah,
just,
books
I
can't
just
have-
find it very, appropriate for our particular D&D friend.
Look,
That's all.
look. If it was a different setting and we weren't constantly having shit kind of happen behind our back and more dangerous threats building up with
Okay,
people
fair,
that could.
no, fair.
Yeah, fair enough. I know. We have a
Okay.
lot of things that we don't trust. We can trust books, okay?
Can you?
Jesus Christ, dude.
There was a book that told you stuff back when the Flesh Factory was around, and it was lying to you because the Flesh
Wait, what?
Factory didn't exist.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
we knew shit was weird.
Okay, so you make your way down into the hollows as the leaf elevator descends down into the depths of the city, and you see um, that you're starting to pass through the great the large amount of the trunk of this tree, and in the interiors of this tree, it's actually there's like no windows to the outside because that would harm the integrity of the tree. So they've kind of made do by this lichen that grows throughout the tree that seems to simulate a day-night cycle by changing colors.
Oh.
Um, so right now it's sort of like this bright yellowish orange color that illuminates the whole area. And as you descend down into the hollows, where there's a lot of the residential areas, and you see these like little grown pods. They're almost like these circular pods that are attached to various areas of the tree structure, with little windows carved out of them that people are living in. Eventually, you get down to a landing where you see some signage um, written in common, actually, because this is a metropolitan city, sort of, kind of directing you to various locales of interest. I'll say that you do find like a pointer toward the Great Oak Library, and you make your way there, and you make your way into this tremendous space that's been carved out toward the center of the tree. It's circular in nature, and as you step within it, there's this large wooden chandelier that's hanging down from the ceiling, and the floor itself is just dispersed concentric circles of varying colors of polished wood, and there's just bookcase upon bookcase just stacked high to the ceilings, in sort of like a semicircular pattern that goes up. There's like a little toward the back of this area. There are some steps that go onto a landing where there's more bookshelves and other things for you to peruse.
Fucking sweet. I love dope libraries. Goff is definitely really excited about it.
So this would probably be in like maybe a history section or a public records or.
Yes, I think that is the best direction to go in, sure.
You see Ellen kind of walk up and says, "All right."
Time
She
to
kinda-
do my thing.
She cracks her knuckles a little bit, and she walks over.
Cracks her knuckles to use her eyeballs.
She cracks her knuckles. And she starts scanning some of the like a little
Slick.
signage, looking for like a history section. Pretty easy to find. She kind of guides you all to where it is. What are you looking for in particular? We'll dispense with roles and we'll just say like, tell me what kind of information you are seeking.
We're looking for the name Archdruid Kiarl.
Or like, yeah, and or information about prominent druids in the have been in the city or are in the city.
Okay.
Like maybe their
There are not
accomplishments.
tabloids in the library, Mido. Sorry. Um, you do find like a section of the library, I'll say, that has like like hand drawn, like, for lack of a better term, they're comic books, but like, I mean,
Is there any like fan fiction,
yeah, there's friend fiction,
forest fiction,
forest fiction. Anyway,
fern fiction?
I hate this. Anyway, so you're perusing this history section. Eventually, you find what looks to be a compendium of powerful druids who have achieved the Archdruid title. And you're scanning it, and eventually you do locate Archdruid Kiarl Squirrelbeard.
The plot thickens.
The reveal.
Look at this little squirrel.
And
Family member, then, I suppose.
it's it lists a number of relations. It lists Alonzo as her brother.
You see, siblings are complicated. I'm
Well,
not
that
the only
explains
one.
why he didn't want to talk about it.
I wouldn't know I'm an only child.
You know what? It's probably for the best.
It's definitely probably for the best.
Goffin and her
Wow.
having real like a huge
No,
solidarity
I'm
about.
kidding.
Just sibling problems.
I
One
don't
of
know
my
whether
siblings
they'd be
is fine.
offended or.
I think Goff and Hillary have solidarity about have both experiencing what it's like to have really shitty brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you find this, and you find that the brief information you find about Archdruid Jarl is that she was one of the Archdruids or one of the two Archdruids who was there at the founding of Evendell. She was actually, along with her brother, the ones who planted the seed that eventually grew into the tree. And I mean, this is just kind of like a brief thing. Basically, her current whereabouts are unknown. She left the city in some official capacity about 10 years back, and hasn't been seen since. She just went into the forests. Not really known why.
Well, his hesitation is made apparent. So at least we understand that much. 10 years does not seem like too much time as far as things are considered, but...
Do we know the time frame about
Gravik?
Gravik, when he was down here when all that happened?
So Gravik was in prison for about 5 years, and he was sent on his mission initially probably 8 years ago, and then disappeared. Became a bandit, was doing his banditry things for like 3 years, and then got captured by the Arcadians and held for 5 years.
Well, it
Do you think
does line up a bit.
Do you think that she is responsible for his change of demeanor?
If she's this powerful of a druid, she certainly has the ability, the power to be able to do something, but I don't know, maybe
Well,
she fell under a similar corrupting force.
I'm starting. I mean, it's possible that with all that we experience, that it could be something darker and more sinister. Though I'm also starting to wonder if maybe she had motivations of her own. Maybe she had a disagreement or a different belief of how things should be handled in regards to the forest. I mean, Alonso mentioned that there is always a conflict about how to, protect the world or protect this forest. Maybe it's more complicated than it seems.
Maybe.
Or it could just be that she's been controlled by some evil being, or some of the void matter, or the ruins. But I suppose my point being, let's not rule out she has her own motivations, perhaps. Maybe I'm just thinking too complicated because everything's always complicated.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to be able to know, since it seems like there wasn't very much information here to describe why she went to the forest, and what have happened might have just been something that happened out there.
If they're not hurting or killing people and they're just taking supplies, then I think
Seems
it's.
like they're trying to be noble, but
I think if we can't find anything else here, perhaps this halfling might know something or give us something that might help us understand a little bit better what we're approaching. But how do we find them?
I mean, it's maybe not the best idea, but we can always go speak with those other druids that Beard was speaking with first arrived.
What would we ask them?
If they're powerful druids in their own right, they might have known.
Chiaro, you mean?
Yes.
Mm,
They're all currently in session right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they had immediately started meeting or not.
You know, we could find a caravan and travel with them for a bit and maybe see if we can just bait them out. You know, go right to the source.
mm.
It would make sense. It would be faster, probably.
Or it could be slower.
I
we
mean,
don't know. We don't know if they're consistent in their attacks.
it sounded like it.
We might want to find out more before we engage a plan like this. Like maybe if there's a regular spot that it happens, or if it's random.
Well, they seem to. They're in the thicket. They go after food. So if we find a caravan with a lot of food, then.
The thicket is quite large.
Well, yeah, but there's not a whole lot of caravans.
I understand where you're going. My point is that and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it. My point is I think we should try to see if we can find out some locational information and
Alright.
experience given first, and then perhaps after that we can engage in this suggestion.
Maybe we can ask some of the merchants or something where some of the attacks have been localized?
That is what I've been saying. I don't know why you're...
Well, shit.
Alonso literally gave us the Domo gave us a name of someone who was in a caravan.
Oh
I've been
shit,
trying
yeah,
to
he
say
did.
that to
I'm
you
a
this whole time,
dumbass. Never
and you've
mind.
been
Let's
arguing
rewind
against
it. I'm stupid.
Sister, were you not listening? What did you see? Like a butterfly
Listen,
in
I
the
was
window?
in the no, I was genuinely like in the bathroom for like a chunk of that conversation.
I'm
I
sorry.
did say BRB a while ago.
I didn't know when the BRB happened.
Yeah. I didn't
Yes,
know.
so I believe we can find this individual. They are quite small, and the name is Zenzen. Maybe there's a place where caravans usually check in or something. We could ask there. I don't know. Maybe there's a tavern or an inn that's where information travels around. Going based off of the way that we usually approach these things.
I mean,
We should
as good an option as any.
try to find this individual, I think.
So,
And I guess we'll go do that.
let's pick a direction.
Okay, so
Because I know, I mean, yeah, I guess we're doing that because no one's objecting or saying
Yeah.
anything.
all right, so you've been in this area before, so you head down to the very base of the city, which is known as the Roots, and uh, this is an area of the city that consists of merchant areas, of taverns and inns, um, and the like, shops, that kind of thing. I'll say that you find a what was it called? What was the name of that tavern? I'm just looking through my notes real quick. Okay, so you find a tavern that you were in previously, um, uh, known as Roots Rest, and
Root rest.
I think that was the name of it. Maybe I'm making it up. Anyway, but there was the tavern keep there was an Aarakocra. You met before this Aarakocra with gray feathers and this hawk like visage named Kid, Khid, who you have.
Okay.
I think you have interacted with him before. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did like briefly.
So as you enter, he's sort of preening a little bit.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of clientele in the tavern at the moment.
Oh God, why do I have a headache?
I don't know.
I approach him, and I, uh, fuck, sorry, my brain just like broke. I will walk up to him and be like, hello, I'm sorry to bother you. I was wondering if I could ask you a question.
Oh shoot! What can I help you with?
We are looking for someone who was in a caravan that was attacked by bandits. See if we could find something about anything out about them, the bandits from them. They're a halfling named Zenzen. Have you met or heard of this individual before?
Zenzik. Hold on, actually.
Is it Zenzig with a G or Zenzin with an
I'm
N?
trying to find it again. I'm trying to find my notes. I'm like all over the place right now. Okay. So the name was Zenzin. Sorry,
Oh, okay, that's what I have written down.
Zenzin. Zenzin.
Yes.
Uh, Zenzin, you say? Well, you might be staying over at the inn. Uh, Sun's Hollow, just across the way.
Oh, okay.
It's run by Quiet Cloud and very kind-hearted tabaxi men.
Oh, yes, I think I remember them. I think we stayed there once some months ago. All right. Then I suppose we'll try there. Thank you.
Thank you.
He nods and he goes back to preening.
I actually remember the name Quiet Clown. I remember thinking it was cute.
I don't know if I gave you the right name. I probably am making it up because I didn't actually write the name of the inn down.
It was something Cloud. I'm pretty sure because I remember the name.
No, Quiet Cloud. I wrote the innkeeper name down. But I didn't write the name of the inn down.
Oh, it's.
I'm dumb as shit. Anyway, that was literally like 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
okay, so
We'll go
you head
that
across.
way.
Yeah, you head across the city to another locale, making your way into this inn, which is just a very quiet. There's not necessarily like it's not like a tavern, so there's not like a place to drink or anything. As you get within, you see this elderly-looking tabaxi that probably once upon a time had dark black fur, now kind of going gray. He is standing behind a desk, kind of arranging some keys on some hooks. And as you approach, he kind of squints at you for a second, and then he reaches down toward his desk and he picks up some spectacles and he puts them on. And he smiles at you. This big, toothy smile. You can see like one of his fangs is a little damaged, blunted a little bit. He says, "Oh, visitors, welcome to Evendell.
Thank
What
you.
can I help you with? Are you looking for a room?"
Not quite yet.
We're actually looking for a person.
Yes.
Well, Not exactly a font of information, but I'll do what I can.
We're looking for someone who was in a caravan that was attacked. Was trying to figure out the bandit problem, or at least one of them. Their name is Zenzin. They're a halfling. Have they stayed here? Have you seen a halfling who may have talked about this sort of thing?
Yes. Hold on one moment. Name does sound familiar. And he starts leafing through a book and kind of adjusts his spectacles a little bit. He says, yes, Zenzen. They were staying here with a number of the farmhands from Evendale. They're still here. I have a room. They're currently. They should be back shortly, I think. If you want to wait.
Okay. Thank you. Is there somewhere we can like sit?
Yeah, there's
or
like
something?
sofas and stuff for you to sit
Okay.
down.
I guess
Kinda
I'll.
hewn out of logs and there's some cushions on it.
Nice.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of all sit down, take a load off, and you're waiting probably for a good 30 minutes.
Place of Bejeweled.
I'll pet tackle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's Tackle's here. I forgot.
Yeah,
We
Tackle
didn't
is
talk about
here.
Tackle. So you're all just kind of waiting around for 30 minutes, and then eventually you see about 4 people walk into the inn. Uh, 3 of them look like they're just wearing common farmers' clothing, like overalls and light shirts for the heat. Um, uh, kind of like you see one of it is like a human man, an elven woman, and a dwarven woman, who are all in these getups, and leading them. He's a halfling. They have these very fair features, kind of freckles on their cheeks. Their hair is jet black and sort of braided into almost like a dreadlock look. It's kind of slicked back at the back. And they're wearing a leather tunic. They look a little bit more official, almost, if that's a good word for it, than the other 3 who just kind of look like country bumpkins. And they're just sort of walking in and talking, and you hear the halfling kind of whisper to the others, and he says, "Well, I guess we got something out of it. Some, didn't make as much money as we could have, but something." And just sort of talking as they walk in past you. That's it.
Uh, do we see a halfling among them?
Yes, I was just describing the halfling who was talking.
Okay. I'll try and wave him down. Hey, excuse me, is your name Zinzin?
This halfling stops and looks at you with this, like just a raised eyebrow. Who wants to know?
Some travelers looking into the issue of caravans being attacked along the way in the forest. We were wondering if we could ask you some questions.
They kind of turn to face you, and they shove their hands into their pockets and kind of rock back and forth on their feet a little bit. What are you, some kind of mercenaries for hire? You looking to get some gold out of me?
Not that of you. But what's been harassing you and what we're after might be coinciding.
All right. Well, what do you want to know?
Well, how about what happened? Any details that you can recall?
Couple days back, we were making a trip through the thicket from Synthalisdale. We're almost on the edge of the Valley of Flowers. Add a character. Valley of Flowers is, if you've forgotten, the location that is the big open field surrounding Evendell.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
called that because there's a bunch of hills with just these beautiful wildflowers everywhere. We were just on the outskirts near the Valley of Flowers, sort of around where the Elven Ruins are, and we were attacked. The trees just sort of came at us and entangled our carts. And then these bandits, these masked bandits, uh, uh, just came out of nowhere. They held us at bow point and took about half of our produce. Left us enough to get going with, and well, we still made a profit, but could have made more.
Yeah.
Hmm. Then you saw none of their faces.
No, they had masks on, like bandanas up over their faces.
And the trees came at you, you said.
It's like it entangled, like the roots entangled our carts, our wheels, the horses.
Did their clothing just seem kind of ramshackle, or do they have any kind of unifying aspect
No, there
to
was no
them?
uniform or anything like that. Some of them didn't even have armor on, which is strange for a bandit. You'd think they would protect themselves.
Did
I've
any of
heard.
them... Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Did any of them seem to be in charge, or was it just goons?
I don't know. They didn't use names or anything. They were just a lot of them seemed really young, actually, like teenagers maybe. They had. I mean, they're all kinds. There were probably about, I'm gonna say, like 6 or 7 of them.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
just had these shoddy-looking bows and barely any armor on. But they got the drop on us, and we don't have any. I mean, I've heard there's been a few attacks on caravans, but usually, they. I guess I didn't do myself any favors. They don't. There've been a lot of attacks lately, and usually it's around that area, and usually they only attack unguarded caravans. And I don't have a lot of money, so it's not like I could afford to hire some guards. The Arcadia military has actually been sending people down to assist some of the caravans coming from out of the thicket, and then some of the richer people have been hiring mercenaries, but they don't attack those.
Hmm. Um,
What area was it?
Just the Elven Ruins, right outside of the Valley of Flowers, east of here.
that seems a little close. And when they attacked, they tangled you up. They didn't point anything at you, any
Oh,
threaten you.
they had bows, shoddy-looking bows, and they held a few of us at bow point, and had the arrows drawn, but they didn't fire them or anything. They didn't really point them at anything vital. Mostly at just a threat.
Hmm. And there's nothing else that stood out to you. Anything odd? Any symbols?
Other than
Sounds?
no, other than the I'll say other than the trees, and then at the end when they escaped into the forest, they just sort of vanished.
Like a spell?
Maybe druid magic for all I know. I don't know anything.
Hmm.
Are you planning on heading back out anytime soon?
Oh, we have to make our way back. I don't have any money for guards, if that's what you're asking. I do have some produce that I need to some gold and some supplies that I need to bring back with me for my farm hands, but
Hmm.
probably gonna head out later this afternoon while it's still daytime.
You mind having us tag along?
I
I
feel like
mean,
maybe we buy some extra produce, some more excess to
Well, they said
well,
that a
if you're looking
guarded caravan would not be attacked.
Well, no,
we
we
just
don't.
have to make sure that we aren't seen.
Yeah.
Hmm. It is very hard to hide me.
Well, you can make you look like, a normal guy, maybe.
Put you in
see
a
Ellen.
big sack and put a bunch of apples on top.
Ellen sort of like touches the clasp on her cloak and she says, "I can always use this to hide you,
Hmm.
to help you be unnoticed.
Would you guys agree to that if we said that we'd tag along and
If it
defend you, but
means
then they
if it
kind
means we
of
don't have to pay, then
Nah.
sure, I'd love to have guards.
No, we keep your money. As we are not here to collect money from you. We are here to try and figure out what these bandits are about.
Well, shit, yeah. I'm we're just gonna we're starting to load up the wagons just outside the city. Probably gonna be another couple hours, but
Alright.
yeah, if you want to tag along, I won't be
We'll meet
opposed.
you then.
Alright, cool.
Okay. I
They
guess
kind of
we've got
whispers.
ourselves a
They kind of
caravan.
whisper something to. They whisper something to the other farmhands, who you kind of overhear a little bit of it. They say like, go finish loading up the cart. I'll head back to the room and get everything that we need." And they head off. That's it.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now we just got to kill time for a couple hours.
We should probably. They said they were only going back with some gold and some supplies. I think maybe we should buy more supplies, just to make them seem like a little more tempting of a target, perhaps.
I mean, sure.
We could
You
maybe
think
make some
so?
illusory supplies.
Oh, that's true. I can just that. Wait, do I have that spell? I
Yeah,
got rid
major
of a
image.
few.
Major image.
Don't look at my spells. I got rid of a few.
I didn't. I'm not looking at him. I'm not looking at him right now.
Actually,
I'm
did
just
get
saying.
rid
I
of that
thought.
one.
I
I
thought.
can't do that.
Oh.
Well, let's get some extra
Okay.
supplies.
Groceries not gonna cost that much in this world. I don't think, because people gotta buy them. How much supplies worth you're looking to buy?
Well, I don't know. A few sacks.
Okay. Like,
I
are
don't
you
know
just
how many. I don't know how.
Fucking sacks.
so
Some-
I'd say you could probably get to a grocer and find a few sacks of fresh produce, mixed fruits and veggies. It'll probably run you like a gold piece for like all of it. It's
That's fine. I'll give him a gold.
Fruit! Kids
Fruit.
love it. Fruit!
Fruit.
Hands. Sit.
Fruit smack.
Okay, so so I'd say you kill a little bit of time. You head to the grocery, you buy some groceries, some fresh produce, and you make your way back out to the city, to the outskirts of the city, out toward where you see a number of wagons that are being loaded up or unloaded at the entrance of the Great Tree itself. And you do eventually track down Zenzen and their group. You see there's a couple of wagons that mostly have like chests on it that seem to have gold in it, and other supplies such as fresh linens and first aid supplies. And they see you approach. They sort of gesture toward one of the wagons. He says, "If you want to take a ride on one of those," and then they see the groceries. They go, what are you making a feast? What?
No, we're just, a little bit of encouragement. You'll be fine.
Wait, you're not using us as bait, are you?
No, of course not. Here.
Why would we do that?
Why would I? I don't need this. Oh, I don't need this produce. What are you?
I'm just putting some into a cart.
Look, I didn't sign up to be bait.
You didn't really sign up for anything. It's fine. We're coming along. It'll be fine.
Regards!
Make a persuasion check.
Oh,
We're
God.
helping!
Oh no. Uh oh. That's as bad as it could possibly be.
Oh no!
Could I help? Since I'm also talking?
Do
Because
you
I
have?
have proficiency in persuasion?
Oh, do you? Okay,
I
yeah.
do.
So
Because
roll
I
with
rolled a
advantage.
natural one. Okay, that's better. That's better. Hold on. That is a 24.
Yay!
Well, out of curiosity, what would it have been with that natural one?
A 16.
Wow.
Probably
It's-
still would have beaten the DC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Because Wraith's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Zenson eyes you up and down very suspiciously, and they look very, very uncertain about this whole situation, and they say, "You promise we're not gonna get attacked, right? We're not gonna. We're gonna be okay."
You're gonna be okay.
You will be fine.
I cannot promise
I didn't even vet you guys. I don't even know what you can do. I don't know.
We
if
can
you're,
do some pretty cool stuff.
We-
Like I see you
You
have some
we
swords
can't-
and stuff.
We can't promise you that nothing bad will happen, but what we can say is that we will do everything in our considerable power to make sure no harm comes to you.
and we have
Well, that makes it a
considerable
whole
power.
lot better.
We're very strong.
Well, it's a good thing these people don't kill anyone.
I assume Mido flexes.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mino does a big old flex. And Zenson sort of looks over at Mino and says, "Well, I'm convinced. Okay."
You can't even see the flex of her armor, and she keeps doing it.
Verna just sort of rolls her eyes a little bit. I'll say that you assist them in loading up the rest of what needs to be loaded, kind of expediting the amount of time it takes, and then they get up onto the front of the wagon. They say, "Okay, you tell me where you want to. Just hop on the back, where we can find some room. We'll be off."
I'm gonna cast alter self so that I just look like a bumpkin.
Okay. You just look like you kind of look at one of the
Like-
other farmhands and try to mimic their clothing style and general appearance. And then you just sit up next to one of them and they look at you. One of them looks at you and just looks almost offended.
This is possibly one of our most uncool social interactions yet.
Yeah.
Just team microaggressions. is
Team
what's happening.
microaggressions.
Oh yeah, we're not using you as bait. Mocks their appearance, where they come
It's
from.
not mocking it. I'm fitting in.
It's a bit of hate calling. You better call me.
That having been said, I am going to use my wristlet of disguise, and also.
Oh my god! You just.
I'm
appear
not
as
mocking them. Turns
you just
into a
appear as
bumpkin.
this.
Mocking them.
You appear in like these overalls and a big straw hat and it's like streaks of dirt on your cheeks.
I didn't say I was gonna be a pumpkin. I just.
Okay, what are you gonna look like? No, that's what Sissa looks like.
Does that blend in though?
Yeah, it looks like the others.
So they do look like pumpkins.
Ew, but it's not
Oh,
nice to
boy.
point it out.
Oh boy.
Oh god. Okay. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Man, it's been a while since we were just outright pretty rude to some NPCs.
Just the fucking Beverly Hillbillies up in here.
Yep.
It'll be fine. I'm gonna kind of stow my weapons in one of the carts and kind of hide them.
Yeah. What are we going to do with Tackle?
I think the only I
Maybe he
can't presence
should,
to digitate.
Maybe he should like stay in the forest and be all sneaky.
I don't want him to get too lost, though. He should stay close.
Yeah.
Can we disguise him in the
Yeah.
items?
Oh, in the he's kind of bigger than the cart, so no.
Yeah.
Nope. He's
I
real
think,
big.
I think he'd
Especially
have
our
to.
cat is really hard to deal with
I'm
sometimes.
sorry. He's a difficult boy.
big?
Okay, might I'll say that like you kind of rummage around in their supplies and you find like a ratty looking cloak to throw over yourself just to hide your plate armor. And you kind of sit up on the. You find a place to sit as well. So that kind of just leaves Goff, Ellen, Berna.
I feel like
Tackle.
Ellen could very easily look like she's not a threat.
Yeah, Ellen is.
Ellen has
fucking
one of the most unassuming looks.
master of hiding in plain sight.
Well, she's also like one of the most unassuming looking people in the party. Like she looks like she could just be like a random person wearing a cloak. I mean, she opens the cloak and you see all her fucking knives and shit. But like, if she just has the cloak pulled over, she looks like a normal person.
All right, you put a piece of wheat in your mouth, Mido.
Good lord.
Zenson looks at the back at all of you and says, so like,
I'm smiling very
Goff
disarmingly.
is just watching this in disbelief. He's just standing there.
Sissel just has trademark Sissel shit-eating grin.
they look back at you and they just sort of slowly shake their head, and then
We're
say, "Okay,
professionals.
You'll get where you need to go. We
yeah,
promise.
all of that aside, if you're all just gonna pile on back there, they're probably, and you're looking to use this bait, they're probably not gonna come out because there's not that many of them, and you guys outnumber them.
Oh shit. I'm just gonna hop on tackle and turn us both invisible.
Okay.
Oh
I
my
love how-
god.
We're not even denying it.
There's still too many of us.
Yeah, there were only like 6 or 7 of them, and you guys plus us is probably a good 11 or 12.
I'm going to need some help. I'm saying this to the party. I don't have anything. Conceal myself.
I mean, I can turn you invisible too.
You hear the air say.
You've already used the spell.
Well, pretend I haven't used the spell yet. And I can cast it at 4th level, or even 5th level if I want to turn another person invisible.
Yeah, it's probably best if I get turned invisible, because I have nothing.
Okay, anybody else before I cast the spell want to be invisible?
Verna clears her throat.
Okay, you too, Verna.
I am very noticeable and very important. Please make me invisible.
Please stay close to the cart because nobody else can see you. Let's go.
I'll turn myself invisible. I love how we committed our microtransactions.
Microtransactions!
No!
Arcadia Rising microtransactions.
Which is worse on. I feel like using my spell points as a microtransaction.
Open up a loot box. Open up a loot box. Is it a rare magic item? Nope, sorry, it's a void matter orb.
Void matter orb.
Oh.
And I feel like we committed all of our microaggressions and just disappear.
You see Zenz just sort of shake their head and sigh. Ugh.
So the ones that are still visible are Ellen.
Mido. No, Ellen is like. They won't see me, and she hops up on the broom.
So it's basically just Mido.
Basically just Mido, and that's it. Yeah.
That's it. So Mido's just trying to pretend to look like a homeless person in the back of the cart.
Mm-hmm. So Mido's back there. Sissel has made herself, Goff, Verna, and Tackle invisible. Harriet's made herself invisible, and Ellen is Ellen. Ellen, I'll say Ellen will also sit up on the cart with Mido. Okay. Zenzen sighs and says, "All right, don't fall too far behind wherever you are, or get run over. That would be a shame."
Is Ellen going to use Pass Without a Trace also?
Once we get closer to the
feet of the
spot.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say she'll use it when you all get closer. Okay, so the Zenzen cracks the reins and the horses take off, and you very quietly and slowly make your way out of the Valley of Flowers through the rounded gentle hills that are covered in wildflowers of white and yellow and purple, and then you just quietly make your way down the dusty dirt path and east out of the valley itself into the deep dark silence of the woods around you. And as you go, there's a quiet that falls over the area, as you've experienced when you've entered the thicket previously. It is a gloomy, ominous place that, without a guide, you just get turned around easily. And as you enter this darkness, you do see Zenzen pull out one of those druidic guide stones that all of the people who traverse the thicket have. And as they hold it up, it glows a light with a gentle blue glow and begins to cast a very faint trail in the direction of Zenzen's destination. And so as you all follow closely by the wagons and begin heading deeper into the darkness, I need all of you to make stealth checks as Ellen also activates Pass Without a Trace. So you
Oh
get
boy.
Hell
We-
yes.
Oh no, never mind.
Invisible gives advantage, right?
Does it? Or is
invisible
it
gives
disadvantage for things to see you?
advantage on stealth checks that require sight.
Is
Mido,
this...
if you're not, I would say for you, Mido, no, but you will probably need to make a deception check at one point to pretend like you're just a regular person and not an armed mercenary.
Let me pull out my calculator.
Yeah, let's say that you should do this now because you're like kind of in the cart trying to.
Ooh. I got a natural 20 on my stealth check.
Oh, holy
So
shit!
30.
Yeah, you don't have a dex mod, do you?
Nope.
Ellen's gonna be suitably ridiculous. I don't even know why I should bother rolling it. Stealth. Boop. Okay, so Ellen's got a 33. Verna.
Ooh!
No, isn't it actually 36? Because isn't it a flat 10? Because it rolled a 7.
Wait, what?
Wait.
No, that's
El-
just a regular dex check for Ellen.
oh,
Oh, right, you're right, because it should actually be 10. So
reliable
10,
talent, so it should actually be
26
36.
it's 36.
Oh, that's
36.
disgusting.
I know it doesn't matter, but I was like, oh, should the number be a little
36
bit
for
higher?
Ellen. Verna got a 25. Okay, so
Wow,
25.
tackle natural 22.
Natural 20. Sissel's got a 21. Ellen's got a 36. Goff has a 30. Hiraeth has a 30.
Wow.
Mido is just in the back of the cart trying to look unassuming. Rolled a 12 on deception. Okay. So as you proceed further into the forests, the darkness, the stifling darkness that seems to surround you, the guide stone being your only source of light as you're entering this gloom. Zenzen up ahead looks a little nervous. They're kind of looking over their shoulder and scanning what little visible tree line they can see. Because as you know, as you enter the thicket, it is like almost as if you are blinded. You can barely see more than 10 feet in front of you. Well, if you don't have dark vision, you can see a little further. As you're proceeding through, what is everyone's passive perception?
Mine is high.
Mine is not. Mine is 12.
Mine is a 21.
Mine's a 20.
Okay, 21 and 20. All right.
Passive.
Okay. So I'll say that Hiraeth and Goff, probably also Ellen. I don't remember what Ellen's
That's
passive is.
probably huge.
I think Ellen has a +9, so it's actually like a 19.
Oh.
As you're making your way through this quiet forest, in the distance you can hear the sounds of what sound like typical forest wildlife, birds, other critters skittering around. Far in the distance, maybe the occasional predator that is stalking the woods looking for a meal. After a while, close at hand, you hear what sounds like the snap of a twig. Comes off a little bit to your left. And then you hear some rustling of brush to your right a little bit. Quiet for now.
I'm gonna say very, very quietly into the earring. I think we have company
Mhm.
on both sides.
Okay.
Be careful.
I might hold on. Let me check something. What? Actually, no. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna do that yet. it's still really dark, right? So vision's not really gonna help us.
With dark vision, you could probably see about 30 feet.
Me,
If I go ahead, sorry.
I have
Make
dark
that
vision.
40. Make that 40. Yeah.
40.
So I think the only one who's having difficulty are Verna and Sissel, who can only see about 10 feet in front of them.
Yeah.
Everyone else can see about 40 feet. So it's actually a little bit more limited than normal. You're used to being able to see up to 60 feet with dark vision, but
Oh, we forgot. Didn't we talk about getting Sissel a dark vision mask?
yeah.
Fuck, we forgot about that.
Womp womp. Oh
Womp
well,
womp.
Tackle has my eyes right now.
If I look to like I don't know which side I'm on, but if I look into the side that I'm on, do I see anything moving, or was it just the sound?
Make an investigation check.
Oh man. 7.
7. Unfortunately,
If
no.
it's an int based roll, it's not going to be high ever.
Unfortunately, you do not see anything. No. You do hear whispers though. You can't see anything. You can't locate it, but you do hear what sounds like a couple of people whispering to one another. Very quietly.
It's not like I can't understand it. It's just
No, it's
you
just
hear the whispering sound.
right. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, what are you doing? You're just gonna continue on, just see if they
I mean,
attack.
if we can't pinpoint anything, I don't know what else we could do. I mean, I can't do much if I don't know exactly where people are. I don't know if other people. I mean, I'm sure Ellen would be doing something, but Mel's not here, so.
Okay. As you continue onward, Zenzen is looking left and right nervously. They don't seem to have noticed the sounds. You suddenly see the carts come to a stop as the horses rear up. And you look at Zenzen and they're just focused on something that's in the road ahead.
Can I see what it is?
As you kind of move around the cart and take a look, you see that a large tree has been felled into the road, blocking passage.
If I'm like, how am I like, is Zenzen at the front?
Yeah, Zenzen is driving the caravan.
I'm just gonna step up and very quietly near them. So I'm just going to say, as I'm sure you have gathered.
Oh, Jesus! They jump up.
Does Jesus exist in our world?
No. Agma! Don't do that.
Yes, I am sorry. As I'm sure you've gathered, there are some aforementioned friends of ours surrounding us. Just keep your cool. You will be fine. I will make sure of it.
Fuck. Don't screw me on this.
We're not here to screw you.
How do I know you guys aren't the bandits?
Who would do all of this for some fruit?
Fair point.
We bought more.
Anyway, you see Zenzen get down off the cart, and a couple of the other farmhands as well, as they start making their way toward the fallen tree. They kind of stand over for a little bit, and they say, "Oh, well, we got to move it." And you see them roll up their sleeves and start trying to push it off the road, basically, like hack off some of the tree branches, make it easier to roll.
So for whatever, if anything happens while this is happening, if anything occurs, Goff is going to be trying to look for. I mean, I know it's dark, but try to find any sound or source of this potential druid person, bending trees or do whatever they're doing. He's going to be looking for sources of that, if at all possible.
As you're doing
if
that,
at all possible, it may not be possible.
As you're doing that, you hear a whistling sound, and then something lands at the front of the wagon caravan, and then it bursts in a shower of light. And anyone who's near the front of the caravan, I need to make a dex save as a bunch of roots spring up out of the ground.
I'm
I
assuming
feel
that
like
can't.
I was probably behind it.
I was definitely following behind.
I think
I
Okay,
it,
so you're
know
a little further
Goth
behind
probably
then.
went
Probably.
ahead.
I don't know anybody. Was I the
Probably
only
just.
one in the front?
Yeah, because I think everybody else was in the
Okay.
back. Hell, went behind.
A deck save. Uh. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I check for deck save mode. I don't ever have that. 16.
16. Okay, so you are fine as this tanglefoot bag explodes at your feet and just creates a bunch of branches and roots that spring up out of the ground and start entangling Zenzen and their farm hands, and they are just completely restrained by these roots and branches, and they start trying to pull themselves out of it, but they're having a rough go of it. You, on the other hand, manage to some of the roots start kind of wrapping around your legs, and you manage to kick them off and get free of it. The rest of you are fine. Immediately, as soon as this happens, and uh, Zenzen and their people are restrained, um, you see two individuals wearing kind of shoddy looking patchwork pieces of clothing and armor with bandanas pulled up over their faces, um, and goggles on, uh, come out from either side of the tree line with arrows, and they point them at Zenzen and their people, and they say, "All right, nobody move. We'll be done here soon." And you hear one of them whistle, and about five more of them descend out of the brush and begin making their way toward the wagons. Um, they make their way toward one of the two wagons, one's empty. The other one has Mido and Ellen in it, just trying to act unassuming. You see Mido and Ellen. Three of them approach your cart with bows drawn, and they look at you and say, "All right, out of the wagon."
How many
The
are there?
server. Hold on, the server is sounding kind of
Also,
bad. So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna change
Switch.
it. Hold on.
I'm gonna have to restart the robot.
Hello.
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 That's better.
Yeah.
Let me restart the robot, because that's what always happens when we change. Oh, I think it got completely fucked. Let me.
Oh.
This always happens when we change servers. Like the robot gets stuck on the old
That's
service,
just
Mm-hmm.
so I have to reboot it. Anyway, yes. So there's two out front who are guarding Zenzen and their people. There are two that are starting to begin to unload one of the two wagons, and then the other three approach the wagon that has Mido and Ellen in it, and are basically pointing bows, drawn arrows at them, and basically saying, "Get off the cart."
How close are they together?
Pretty close. They're all kind of bunched up, getting at the edge of the wagon, probably within like a couple of feet of Mido.
Okay.
Mm,
Um,
Oh, I just remembered something. If I can't like retroactively do this, that's fine. Um, when I went invisible, could I have gotten my weapons because I didn't need to hide them anymore? Or should I try
What do
and
you
sneak
mean?
and get them now? When I was disguising myself, I said I hid them in the cart.
I didn't even catch that. So no,
Oh,
I'd say you
okay,
still have
all
your
right,
weapons.
cool. I will kind of say, well, I'm
What?
assuming Ellen and Maito can take care of the ones going towards their cart. Goff, do you have the front? Should Sissel and I focus on these
how
behind?
many are near me, Falk?
There's just the two that are pointing arrows at Zenzen and their people.
I mean, do we
Uh,
want to just pop this off? Because I can help.
I'm thinking about disarming them.
So
we're not here to
the
kill anyone
the
yet.
three that are approaching Mido, Mido, what are you doing? Because they
No.
are still pointing arrows at you, and they're saying, "Get off the cart now. We won't hurt you." Okay.
I'm gonna hop off of tackle and take to the air.
Okay. Um, Ellen also gets off the cart as well. Mito, one of the bandits, just sort of kind of ushers you off a little bit by just kind of giving you a little shove and says, "It's not your concern. We're only gonna take what we need."
Alright, oh, you do what you need to do first.
How far? So the people that are pointing arrows at Zenzen and the others, and like
Mhm.
what is the arrangement? Like, are they right next to them? Are they like a
So
distance
it's
from
like
them?
this. It's like this. Okay, I'll draw like some X's, right? So like,
Yeah,
there's the big old log that fell over the road, and then
yeah.
Zenzen and their other three people were kind of like starting to move it, and
Yeah.
then the big Tanglefoot bag exploded and got them all captured. And then you've got the bandits who moved in. One's over here, and they're pointing arrows.
Oh, they're
And then
too far, really far away. Okay.
and then you've got like the wagon train, basically
So
here.
where am I?
I'd say you're probably like, I want to say here-ish, maybe.
Okay.
How far is this?
Probably about 50 feet.
Hmm.
So the others are like, let me draw them too. So the others, there's two up in this wagon that are currently unloading it, and there's three more down here. One is kind of standing over here. One is hopped in, is starting to unload it. Another one is over here, and Mito and Ellen are being ushered off the cart, and they're kind of like down here. And I'm assuming like Sissel's up in the air somewhere like over here maybe, and Hiraeth is kind of like over here, and Verna similarly is probably like over here.
Hmm.
Does anybody have their weapons drawn? Do the ones in the cart have their weapons drawn?
No, they have bows at their backs though. They're unloading.
Who is this one? Is this Sissel?
Yeah, up in the air. Tackle is also invisible, kind of like. I need a thing for tackle. So tackle can be like big ol' X, just invisible.
Alright.
Ones-
Oh, sorry.
The wagons will be preoccupied for the moment. Perhaps we should quickly disarm or otherwise knock out the ones with their bows trained, and then we can deal with wagons. I can get the one on this side of the cart behind
You
near
see
the.
this? You see this one
Which
hop in
one?
as well, start assisting.
Oh, I'm talking about this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's still got his bow trained on Mito. He's sort of looking her up and down a little bit, and
But-
Mito, you're kind of pulling your cloak close so that he can't see your armor and weapons.
Mito and Ellen, can you two take care of the ones in the carts once we pull the trigger on this?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
going
so.
to, alright. I'm gonna give him
I'm
a
gonna
little
say-
bit of
I'm-
a spook.
I'm gonna say before that one more thing, and don't kill anyone unless they give you a reason to.
Obviously
please.
not. I'm going to, drop invisibility on myself, obviously, because I'm casting a spell, and I'm going to cast slow on this dude, these four guys.
Oh,
and...
these are our guys.
Oh, those are our guys?
Those are the
Never
people.
mind.
Those are the people we're helping. We're
I'm
helping them.
stupid. Oh, okay, that makes things easier for me, I guess. How much? I guess this is about 4 feet.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6.
About
Okay.
accurate.
Okay, like basically all of them, but this dude.
Isn't that also going to hit your allies?
No, it's 6
Use the
creatures of your choice in a 40-foot cube within
Oh,
range.
In a 40-foot cube.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So everyone but this boy over here.
yep. And I'm just gonna kind of perch on the top of the wagon in front with my dragon wings out and just be like, "Okay, everybody, calm down."
Okay. So what? Okay. So what's a DC? 19.
19.
I would also like to do something when this happens. Once
Okay.
I'm able.
All right. So I got to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wisdom saves. Let me just look up the stats for this real quick. Come on, load up for me, please. So that's 1 success. Okay, so far 1 success, 3 failures, and the remaining 2 also failures. So one of them succeeded. I'd say one of them in the carts succeeded. The rest failed. So as Cecil, as you appear at the front of the cart, what do you want to do, Goff? As this is happening.
When I hear Sissel start doing something, I'm gonna cast Plant Growth.
Oh fuck. Okay.
I'm also going to do something when all the spells start happening.
All right.
So Plant Growth, I'm gonna.
You're just
I'm
gonna
trying to
create
think.
difficult terrain, right?
I don't want to cover the whole area because that would make it impossible for everyone. I'm basically gonna make like a somewhat thick wall kind of surround, or like at least like.
You're just blocking off their escape, basically.
Yeah, so I'll do a rough drawing of what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. Do that,
So
please.
because I can exclude one or more areas of whatever shape I want. So
Yes.
it's basically like just I'm basically drawing plants and lines, and then they grow
Okay.
up and get crazy in that spot.
Yep.
So I'm basically just gonna kind of fence the area in, and it's gonna just kind of be like
Oh shit. Okay.
I don't want to make it completely enclosed. Like there'll be an opening at
It
the.
looks like a duck that is dead.
Oh no!
It kind of
But
does.
like, but I'm gonna make it like it's not gonna be just one square. It's gonna be like it's gonna like go out thick for a while because
Yeah. It's gonna be.
because if it's just one 5 square, they only have to go through like one
Yeah, I
square of
understand.
it.
I understand. So it's fine. Okay.
So
So
I just like snap my fingers and the plants all vines and shit just
right.
like
Okay.
spring up.
Okay. So what is Hiraeth doing?
I'm going to
Gonna
step
put
forward
myself
and I'm
on a
going to
place.
draw my sunblade and I just want to cut through the guy's bow.
Oh shit. Okay. Make an attack roll.
Do I get like advantage if it's a
Yes.
surprise?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Ooh. Uh. That is
Fuck.
a very big number. What's 19 plus 12? It's very high.
31.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
n- Should I
Okay,
roll
so
the?
you're slicing through
Okay.
with your sunblade?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what happens. Mito, so you draw your rapier. Um, you drew your fucking rapier like I want to say I've seen this in a movie somewhere where like somebody with like a cloak just suddenly pulls their cloak back and like unsheathes a ridiculous sword. Probably like Star Wars or some shit. Um, so this is what happens all simultaneously. Cecily, you drop the not confusion, the slow spell, and you hop down onto the front of the wagon. Your wings flare out. These two that are in the wagon who are now slowed, they look over at you, and it takes them a moment because they're slow to register a look of surprise. It's like everything is just in slow motion. Like they start moving slowly back for their weapons.
Relax, relax. We're not going to hurt you as long as you don't hurt us.
And they're just really slowly moving, and it's like watching it's like watching the Matrix basically. And in the meantime, as this is all happening, the the grass and
Oh
foliage
wait,
springs up
can I
around.
can I slightly adjust what the plant growth is? I was also going to put
Sure.
some right here to around the civilians, basically
Okay,
around the
yeah, fine.
just
All
a
right.
little bit, just some things to make it harder for them to be seen, so they don't
Give the
shoot at
duck a little
them.
nose. It's fine.
Yeah, just so they can't get shot at. Basically, is
Okay.
like
Yeah. Well, everyone's moving super slow at this point, except for this guy, who. So Hiraeth, you immediately turn invisible as you slice through this guy's bow, and it clatters useless to the ground. Um, this one spins around really slowly. This one a lot more quickly as Mito draws her rapier, and it glows a light as the flame tongue enchantment takes hold. And you see this guy go, "Oh shit!" And he starts reaching for a dagger to side, but it's stuck on the like his hilt or whatever, or on the sheath, and he's stuck frantically trying to pull this out as you advance on him,
I'm
Mito.
gonna.
This and at the same time you see Ellen knock an arrow and train it on this one unslowed guy.
Now
And
let's all be nice and careful. Nobody has to get hurt.
where the fuck did you come from?
There's magic, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You see
I
you see this one guy who's not slowed still hold his he kind of backs up with his back against the edge of the wagon, and he's still holding an arrow, and he's training it, is like frantically pointing back and forth between Mito and Ellen and Mito and Ellen, and then you just see like a couple of hands reach over the side of the wagon and just smack his head against the side of it, and he like drops the he drops his bow and holds his head in pain, and then you just kind of see Verna peeking over the side of it.
I was like, wait, who the fuck? All right, Verna's here. And while this is happening, Goff's just gonna like kind of just casually walk up to this one slowed over here and just put his hand on the bow that he's holding slowly, and just push it down to the ground.
So basically this guy, as soon as you cast plant growth and then you appear, he slowly begins pivoting in your direction with his bow out, and you just sort of casually walk up to him and just go, no.
I don't think that will be necessary.
And you can't really see his face because he's got the bandana on and the goggles on, but he very effortlessly pushes bow down. He is this scrawny looking guy.
Oh wow.
So now what you're dealing with right now is a bunch of slowed bandits and one unslowed bandit who is currently nursing a head wound. What are you doing?
Goff for the one that he's next to he's gonna just take the arrow like literally out of the hand of the bow.
Okay.
And just snap it between his fingers. He's gonna just like push his thumb up into it, break it. All right. And I'm gonna just like walk around to the side of him and like take his hands and be like, or his arms and be like, we don't want to hurt you. We have questions.
At that point, that actual bandit finally on his wisdom save rolled a natural 20 and broke the slow spell. The rest still failed.
The one I'm interacting with?
Yeah, the one you're interacting with, but you managed to grab him. Make an athletics check for me, please, as you try to restrain him, or grapple him, rather.
Athletics. My athletics. Wow. 22.
Better than his 7. You manage to effortlessly walk around the side of him, grab both of his wrists, and just yank them back behind him and hold him there. And you can see now, from his stature, that he looks like a kid.
Oh God.
Not like a child, but like maybe a
teenager. Yeah.
And you hear his muffled voice through the bandana go, Don't hurt me.
I'm not going to hurt you unless you give me a reason to. Do I have a reason to hurt you?
He shakes his head rapidly.
Now, we are trying to solve a mystery here, and we believe you might know something. So if you are willing to help us, there's no reason for us to hurt any of each other while we're here.
He nods furiously.
Yeah.
I mean, are the other bandits under control? Like, if I look up, does it seem like
I'm definitely like I've just got my hands on the shoulders of the other bandits.
Yeah, you kind of walk forward, your wings still flared out, and you just put your hands on the shoulders of these two. Let's see if they break free yet. Nope. They both very slowly look in one another's direction, and then you see them drop their bows and just very, like Matrix style, just hold their hands up.
There we go. That's a smart decision. No weirdness and nobody gets hurt.
Hiraeth, the one that you sliced the bow of, very slowly looks down at the bow that is now shattered, and then looks over at you, and then starts going into the fetal position and just.
The one that I'm holding, I'll say it. No, I truly am sorry to have startled you in this way. I don't think you want to hurt anyone, otherwise you would have already. Now, we are looking for a man named Gravlik Madmane. Do you know of him?
What do you want with Sir Gravik?
Well, it's a bit... He was once imprisoned, and now he is free. We were asked to go looking for him.
He came back to us. Why are you here to take him away again?
Well, Initially, that is the plan, yes, but things are never that simple, are they? We would like to find him and see what his motivations are. If you could lead us to him, that would be much appreciated.
Are you gonna hurt him?
Uh,
We don't want to.
we don't know.
Make up. Would this
We
be perception or like
don't
intimidation or something? I don't
we,
even
we,
know. Or
we don't know.
persuasion.
It depends on what he intends to do to us.
Sir
We don't
Grovik
want
is
to
a
hurt
noble
anyone.
man.
We don't want to hurt anyone that does not want to, that doesn't deserve it. But many people, unfortunately, force our hand into fighting back to defend ourselves.
We'd like to get more information first before we make any hard decisions.
Yes.
Will you let us? Will you let us go?
If you lead us to where we can talk to him, that is our deal.
Just talk. Right?
Again, if he gives us reason, if he attacks us, if he incites you or his others to attack us, we will fight back. We will not let ourselves be attacked without defending ourselves. So
That's
there is that
a
condition,
really
but
bad answer,
our
but you're also really big.
our
So-
intention is to only talk, and if that is agreed upon by him as well, then we will only talk.
Sir Grovik says that he favors talking over violence.
Then Sir Gravik and I have that in common. So I don't think that there's anything to fear, young man.
I'd still say make a persuasion check, but I'll give you advantage.
Me?
You're the one talking to him.
I guess that's true. All right.
You have your
Better.
alpha bonus.
That's right. It's a +5, so 17.
17. Okay.
I rolled 12.
Pretty easy to convince this young lad. He is not exactly in a position to resist you, and you've all kind of very quickly and efficiently incapacitated him and all of his friends. All right. Will you let us go? Can
Yes,
release
I'll
my
let him
hands?
go. I'll release his hands.
And it's at that point he kind of spins around, and he pulls his goggles up and pulls his bandana down. And you see he's just like this fresh-faced looking, like teenager, elven boy, kind of dark-skinned, um, piercing blue eyes. Okay, I can lead you to him. Just tell your friends to put their weapons away, and
I'll
All
shoot
right.
the weapon.
I'm assuming that I don't even need to roll an insight check to know this guy's not fucking with me.
it's up to you.
Like I'll roll it.
Okay.
21.
He looks scared shitless. He is
That's
so
what I thought.
scared of all you guys right now.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure. All right. All right. Well, give me one moment. And I'll just say at a medium volume to everyone. All right. They'll help us.
Okay. I drop slow, and I also drop invisibility on. Well, actually, invisibility would have dropped on everyone anyway
Invisibility
because of
faded,
recast.
yeah.
So tackle's there.
And as I say that, I'm gonna walk over to Zenzin and the helping hands,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna help I'm gonna start pulling the roots off of them.
Okay.
And as I do that, I'm just gonna say, I'm sorry for the dramatics.
Easy enough. You manage to pull the roots and the branches. They're not really that tough. They're just they were meant for more to kind of temporarily hold them at bay while they looted the place. So after you manage to break them free, Zenzin looks over at you and all of you says, "Ah, you weren't kidding."
No, we weren't. I don't think they'll bother you for now.
We'll see what we can do about leaving you alone in the future.
All right. I mean, I wish I could give you something. I mean,
no, it's unnecessary.
you could take your groceries.
Nah, keep them.
Yeah, take them for yourself. See if you can do something with them, or just eat them. It's fine. Here, and I will, if I can help them shove the log out of the way of their carts.
I would grab an
Yeah.
apple out of the bag, though.
Give me an athletics check to move
Uh,
that
21.
21. Goff, you and your big frame, you just kind of walk over to this thing and just like pick it up and go, "Bwah," and just throw it into the brushes, and they all just stare at you in awe.
All right. Now, I believe you should be fine for the rest of your journey. Thank you for your assist. Wait, are we like in a position where we wouldn't be able to get out if like we didn't have the guide stone?
We have a guide
That's
stone.
fine. Whatever. Oh, that's
have
right.
a
We do have a
guide
guide. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot. You should be safe for the rest of your journey. Carry on as you will.
All right. Well, we'll leave you to it. Have fun.
Sorry again for the drama, the stress.
Yeah, well, what's life without a little drama? It's been fun.
Very much so. All right, I'll walk back over to the kid.
Okay.
And thank you
He's
for
kind
your
of
patience.
He's kind of
Sorry.
rubbing his dick a little bit. The rest are kind of nursing their wounds a little bit. The one that Verna smacked in the head is rubbing the back of his head, and the one that Hiraeth attacked is looking down at his broken bow, and he just looks really sad.
Oh.
I like how the only person who was like really physically attacked was like one kid, and it was just Verna fucking slapping the shit out of him in the head.
Verna ain't fucking around.
So the kid looks over at you as you and all of his friends get back together, and Tackle looms out of the bushes, and you see this kid go, "Oh!
It's
No,
okay,
it's
he's
fine.
my friend.
You travel with one of those?"
Yeah, he's a very good boy, and I pet Tackle's cheek.
And
Tackle.
I pet him.
Tackle purrs at you and then looks over at the kid and just sort of growls a little bit.
Aw, be a good boy.
Oh.
Yes.
You may pet Tackle. Tackle.
Can I?
Hmm?
No, you don't need to roll for it. Tackle.
You missed
is a
Tackle
bard.
and pet
Tackle
Sissel
knows who
instead.
You are.
You pet Sissel?
That gets real weird. So the kid says, "All right." So at this point, the caravan has moved on. He says, "Okay, just stay close. Follow me." And you see him reach into a satchel that's on his side, and he pulls out a guide stone. But this one, as it illuminates, instead of glowing a bright blue like the other guide stones you've seen, this one glows a pale green.
Oh.
And it lights up this winding path through the gloom, and before you see, similar to the other guide stones, the ground just illuminates your way. And the kid just starts walking off through the trees, following this green trail of ethereal vapor. And he kind of pauses a little bit and looks back toward the rest of you to see if you're following.
I'm following.
Okay. You all walk in silence. All of his friends who are with him, they're all they're not all teenagers. Some of them are a little older, probably early 20s, early to late 20s, maybe like one guy in his early 30s. But they're all like a mixture of races. Like there's a couple of humans, there's a dwarf, a gnome, there's actually a tabaxi, just a mixture. And so this kid brings you through this winding trail. And then you come to a break in the forest line, where the trail seems to end. But looking past it, it just seems like more darkness. And then he stops here, and he looks toward you, and then he steps toward this darkness, and he vanishes into it, as almost as if he's going into the surface of water, like it's just ripples behind him. You realize there's some illusory terrain here.
Oh, okay. I look back at everyone, and I just kind of shrug my shoulders and just kind of walk in after him.
Okay.
Yep.
And
I'll
the rest of you
also.
follow, and the other bandits also follow. And your eyes, as soon as you step through, your eyes had initially become accustomed to the absolute, almost pitch blackness of the area around you, and eventually you step through this illusory terrain, and you find yourselves immediately hit by a bunch of light. as you step into a clearing. And as your eyes come into focus, you see before you this grand treetop town. These rope bridges that crisscross high above you, connecting these quaint looking wooden houses that are built into the sides of the trees. And the ground below holds more humble looking buildings surrounding this modest looking stream, where you can see a number of people cleaning or their clothing or bathing. And as your eyes scan upward, you see that the houses and bridges, many of which are crowding on top of one another, throughout both the ground floor of this clearing as well as all these rope bridges and platforms up above, is just teeming with people, bustling with thousands of people of all shapes and sizes, dwarves and humans and tabaxi, Goliaths even. Some are well built and muscular, others are kind of lean looking, others hobbled with age. You spot the young tending to the old. You see mothers and fathers chasing after children.
This is so
It's all by
JRPG. I
it's
love it.
by all purposes a typical village within this forest. As this kid steps through and he says, "Welcome to Liberty."
Oh,
Oh. Fascinating.
nice place.
You've kept this place hidden so well. For how long?
Probably about 10 years now. The Archdruid keeps us safe.
Chiaro.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well,
And soon after, Sir Gravik came and he helped us, established rules and laws to keep us safe and to help us look after one another.
and I'm sure that there are many good reasons for why this place exists as it does, and
Well, yeah, a
but
lot of so many of the people who live here were abandoned by society. I mean, there are people here who used to live in the slums of Arcadia, others who were just left homeless out in the forests or in the Vale, and kind of found our way here.
hmm. This sounds like a place I might have liked to have come to myself, and now the thing's not come to me first.
Yeah, yeah, but we should probably go see
Yes,
Sir Gravik.
I will.
He
I will
wants to
save
meet
you.
all
I know that you are probably
newcomers.
scared. I will save the rest of the questions for Sir Gravik of the Archdruid. Should we be able to
As
speak?
you're saying this, you hear this horn sound from far above,
Uh
and
oh.
all the people immediately in the village stop and turn. And this whole town, which had previously been loud and active, grows completely quiet, almost to a standstill. And from this great house that's situated high above you in the center of the spider web like series of rope bridges, you spot a number of figures stepping out onto a balcony. And one is this tall, imposing Goliath in this dull silver armor that has seen better days. And there's a tremendous black beard that reaches down to his midsection that once was mighty and is now streaked with gray from age. And similarly, his graying hair is pulled back in a series of unkempt dreadlocks, and he bears a serious scar across his left eye. And you recognize him, perhaps a little older, but this is similar to the sketch of Gravik Madman that you were provided.
mm.
Um, Beside him, stepping out from the great house, you see this slender, elderly elven woman, and she is draped in a tattered brown robe, patched with leaf patterns and sewn together roughly. And there's this tangled mass of white hair that sits on her head and drapes past her shoulders. And she leans on her considerable age upon a gnarled walking staff. And she steps onto the balcony next to Gravik, and she surveys the whole town with a scowl. Um, just a scowl of just a typical like cranky old woman, basically. Um, Gravik steps forward onto the balcony, and he turns his head to the left toward some of the adjoining rope bridges, and he nods, and he says, "Bring forth the accused." And you see two men in these dirty-looking vests and pants bring another man forward, who looks to be a man in his mid-20s, and he collapses onto his knees, and he is shaking and crying somewhat. And Gravik steps forward, and then he kneels down next to him, almost like a gentle parent. And he says, you can overhear this as his booming voice just echoes throughout the town. And he says, William, do you know why you are here today? And you hear this trembling voice just barely over the quiet of the town. He says, yes, Sir Gravik. And what is your charge then? I took up arms against my neighbor and comrade, and in the heat of anger I slew him with my knife. Gravik nods and he says, you know that striking down one's comrade is an act of betrayal, one that must be punished. Yes, Sir Gravik. Then what would you say to me? I only wish to say that I am sorry that I disappointed you. And Gravik's face seems to warm slightly, and he stands up and he approaches the balcony. And he says, comrades, we are here in liberty, and we know that our neighbor is our brother and our sister, and that we care and look out for one another. To raise a blade against one of our own is a terrible, terrible act. But I am not without mercy. And he looks back toward William and he says, your family will be looked after, but you, William, you must answer for the life you took.
Oh, God.
And he steps back over to the man who's still on the ground, and he kneels down once more and he says, come to me, brother. I accept you, and I forgive you. And this man stands up, William, he clearly sobbing now, and he embraces Gravik, and Gravik in turn embraces him and holds him firmly and hugging him like a father would hug a child. And then you hear a snap,
Woo!
Oh.
and the man falls limp in his arms.
I knew it.
Gravik lays the body down gently on the ground, reverently, and the other two men take it away. And then Gravik stands, gathering his composure, and he returns to the balcony. Brothers and sisters, let us not forget what has brought us here. A desire for freedom, for food and shelter, love and belonging. The rest of the world rejected us, so we found each other. Always remember this truth, and look after each other as if you were blood. Let William's failure to adhere to our ways be a lesson. Love each other, and take no one's life without cause. And he nods solemnly. And then Gravik turns and makes his way back into the great house, and the elderly woman follows after him. And as he does, you hear the scattering of shouts from the town. We love you, Sir Gravik! Long live Gravik the Tender Heart!
He just murdered God.
And then
What?
soon after
It's-
Gravik departs, the town kind of returns to normal, and all begin kind of going about their day once more. And this kid kind of looks at you and kind of scratches the back of his neck. He's like, we should probably go and introduce you.
I suppose so.
Yes, I believe that is probably the next best step.
Might
And,
as well.
I'm sure that you'd feel much more comfortable once we're out of your hair.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, no offense, but you stick out like a sore thumb, you're going to be noticed one way or the other.
That is not an issue. It is something we are used to.
Ah, you know.
Sir Gravik likes to meet all newcomers to Liberty, so let's go, I guess.
Yes.
And he leads you through the crowded lower levels of this town. There's just throngs and throngs of people who are gathering around what look to be the stream where they're taking care of themselves, and there's a few tables and various stands where they might be perusing some goods and produce and so on and so forth. He brings you to a rope bridge that makes its way up into the higher reaches of the city, and eventually you kind of take a winding course up through a series of increasingly higher rope bridges, and eventually you make your way up into the same balcony with the great house that you saw Gravik and Kiarl at. And the boy looks back nervously toward all of you, and then he steps into the great house, into the darkness within. And as you make your way inside, you see it's fairly lightly attended within here. There's a few there's a few kind of mean-looking, older-looking men, probably in their like late 20s, with short swords at their side and bows at their back, who are just kind of watching the place. The old woman, who you can probably surmise is the archdruid, she is off in a corner, sitting at a table, reading a book. You see to your left, Gravik is sitting at a desk. He has kind of he has taken off his armor. You could see it in a pile in a corner, and you just see him in typical, like a simple tunic and trousers, and he seems to have a pair of kind of beaten looking spectacles sitting on his nose, and he is writing in a journal, and he's holding his pencil like it's like a little matchstick, basically, because being a Goliath himself.
Yeah.
And as you
It's
all
all.
enter, the guards immediately draw their swords and kind of hold them crisscross. And then they recognize the kid and they let him through. And then they all eye you suspiciously, and he says, "It's fine. They're with me." And you see Kiarl kind of watching all of you a little suspiciously, and Gravik himself sets the pencil down and takes his spectacles off and puts them down, and he looks up and over with surprise at the young boy and all of you. And he looks first toward the boy, and he says, "Ah, Svensson, I see you've brought some newcomers to me. How was how was your mission?" And Svensson, he looks down at his feet and he says, I'm sorry, Sir Gravik. We failed. We did not manage to obtain any provisions."
That was our fault.
It's not his, it is ours.
He looks toward all of you and he says, "That is very honest of you. But it was his responsibility to bear." So he looks back at Svensson and he says, "Your failure to bring back supplies makes feeding the hungry here a bit more difficult. So for the next month, you are limited to one meal a day."
Oof.
Goff squints real hard at that and just kind of tilts his head a little
Worry
bit.
not, your family will be still well accommodated for. If I find that you defy this mandate, your fingers will be removed.
That seems a little harsh. I mean, we actively prevented them from doing this.
And I appreciate your honesty.
We came here to speak with you and the Archdruid, not this boy. The boy was a means to an end. He is no...
The boy had a mission and he still failed it.
I mean, most people would fail their mission against us, let's be real.
Nod.
Cecil. So Goff kind of like elbows her.
Nonetheless, my decree has been made. He nods towards Svensson and hangs his head a little bit, and he says, "Of course, Sir Gravik, thank you." And he makes his way out of the tent. And Gravik leans a little forward in his chair, and he leans his weight on one knee, and he looks toward all of you, and he says, "I see strangers before me. Perhaps I would like to know who you are, so that we might be friends."
Well, we are the Blue Hearts. My name's Sissel.
Here,
Sissel? You're right.
I am called Goff, of Still Waters, a champion of Eldath.
Ah, a fellow from the Isles. I am known as Gravik of the Tenderheart.
I have gathered. You're also from the Isles. I was there not too long ago.
That is correct. And what of the rest of you? He nods to Mito. Verna kind of gives her full title, like Lieutenant Colonel Verna, Seam of the Arcadian military, and he just kind of raises an eyebrow at that, and Ellen kind of nods and says, "Ellen Mahario." He says, "Very well. So what brings you to Liberty?"
Well,
I sense there is something that weighs heavy on your hearts, and if there is something that concerns you, let it be known that there is no judgment here. I only ask for honesty.
Well, to be frank, we were looking for you.
Ah,
yes.
well,
We
you
were
have found me.
we were as tasked by a friend. We have been during the Eve of the Iris, as I'm sure you are aware of it. Many individuals, due to one reason that we have yet to quite decipher, were released from Arcadian holding, and you are one of those individuals. Now, we do not know you personally. It seems like this place you are living in has its beauty to it, but we were tasked to find you, and so that is why we are here. We were tasked to find you, and at least at first to bring you back to Arcadia, but we are here to talk.
And we are talking.
Yes.
I see that you. So then you are bounty hunters that have been brought all this way to make a bit of coin. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, but we'd like to learn a little more about situations before we just go in swinging, you know? We heard you used
Well,
to be with the Soothing Hand.
That is correct. I was sent here many years ago to safeguard the ancient places of this world. You see, my oath requires that I safeguard these ancient places not only to protect those without from the dangers within, but also to prevent those who would seek to exploit what might be found there.
Yeah,
I
they,
was not
A noble pursuit.
I was not given much support in this endeavor, and I watched with my own eyes as the innocent people here in the forest were faced with time and again terrible horrors. I met Chiaro here, and he looks over at
Um,
the
I know this
old
is
woman.
it's a little late because we've already started the conversation, but at some point I'm going to roll insight check on this
Okay,
conversation.
sure.
I have got a 24.
Okay. You're getting the impression from this man that he is very, very, very self-assured. He looks
Okay.
over. He looks over at the old woman. He says, "That is when I met Chiaro here. She too had her misgivings about how those in power handled things, and she wished to create a cooperative, a place where people could live free and be cared for. And so we founded Liberty."
Well, it is a beautiful place, and perhaps if things were different, I may have ended up here myself. But I forgot what I was going to say. Fuck. Oh my god, I had a thought, a
I can't say
question.
fuck.
No, I had a thought and I fucking lost it. What
why?
was the last thing he said? You go ahead. Go ahead.
So we
You go
founded
ahead.
Liberty.
No, it was before that. But go ahead, Red.
Why? Why rely on theft for most of your food? That seems kind of impractical considering you've got the druid with you.
Couldn't you just grow it?
You've seen the ground here. It is we started out trying to grow food, but unfortunately the land here is not the best for harvests. We, as our ranks grew and our numbers turned from a fledgling hamlet into a large town, it became increasingly more difficult to feed the people here. These are people who have been abandoned by the world at large, and Carol here tells me that the Archdruid and those in Evendell cannot be trusted. They care too little about the people out here and too much about themselves. And we could certainly not look to the Arcadian military or anybody in the Vale for help because they're the ones who abandoned us in the first place. So, we do what we must. And while it is undesirable, certainly, it is nonetheless our only way forward. And we try to make sure that there is no violence. We don't attack anyone if there is going to be a conflict. We simply take as little as we need to get by and leave everyone else with the rest of what they need.
And I'm probably required to say stealing is bad, but I'm having trouble seeing issue with this.
No,
Is there a reason why you choose not to interact with the world at large? Actually engage in trades?
That's true.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is we lack coin. We are a poor people here. What you see here, we are, again, a cooperative. We are people who were once homeless or lived on the outskirts of society, and we all came together. We do not produce much of gold value, as it were. And frankly, we do not wish to engage in that society anyway. They have let us down too many times.
I used to live in a place like this. We were a little further out, though. Everyone kind of kept to themselves. I've never really seen a independent cooperative this big.
Well, we have. It has taken quite some time to get this big. As you can see by the number of people here, it is all too alarming how many people have been abandoned. Just left by the wayside by those in power and those higher up, those who have money. The three families of Arcadia could spend a fraction of their wealth and feed every single person here, clothe them and give them shelter. But do they? They do not.
Can't argue with that.
Are they aware that this place exists?
No. And if they did, I fear what they would do. You see, there are some people here who have somewhat of a shady past, former bandits, former mercenaries themselves, who have since turned to a new way of life, and I fear, much like myself, if the law, as it were to catch wind of this place, well, that would be the end of liberty. But to the matter at hand, you said you came for a bounty.
That was the original goal. But
will.
as we progressed toward here, we heard more and more and knew that this was not going to be a simple bandit we were encountering, but someone with motives different than a regular bandit, someone who was perhaps living a different life. But there were still thefts occurring and the caravans being attacked, no one being killed or hurt, but still, the traces of your existence were out there, so it led us here.
It seems
But
to
we
me that we as a group make our own decisions. We do not strictly follow the rules of the military or whatever their law. you see
we
Verna kind of
do
shifting uneasily as you're saying, but she is staying quiet.
Oh, I wish Patrick.
If those goals happen to line up, then less trouble for us. But
So then, Goff of Stillwaters, was it?
yes,
What is the decision you have reached then?
you have put me in. I am. Goff has been like pulling on his beard this whole time. Well, I have not yet reached a decision. Maybe my friends have. I'm not sure.
Well, and he looks to the rest of you. Have any of you made a decision? What are your thoughts? Share them freely. You are in no danger here. Goff, you get a sense he is completely forthright about this. He does not seem like he bears you any ill will or antagonism.
Well, the people here seem to care about you a lot.
Let me ask you a question, if I may.
Of course.
How does it make you feel knowing what we are here for?
I will say that I am fearful. I fear not for myself, but I fear for my people here. You see, if you have found this place, then it is only a matter of time that other bounty hunters find this place, and they might be less willing to talk than you are.
That was effectively what I was thinking about. We're willing to listen, of course, but there are others around there that probably just as dangerous as we are and less willing to communicate.
Well then, I will make a suggestion, if you would be so inclined. He looks toward all of you.
Mm?
I think we're all making suggestions right now.
I have no desire to bring violence or suffering upon these people here. And if I am a draw for those seeking coin, then I am a danger to them. So I will allow you to decide. If you think that I should be brought back to Arcadia to be locked up to serve the justice of those in power and those in charge, then I will abide by that decision, for I wish to see no conflict come upon the people here. If you decide that what I'm doing here is just and good and that I should continue to stay among these people, then I will abide by that decision as well. But I will leave it to you. And if you decide that I should be brought to justice, then I will come with you without any objection.
Is Kiara in the room as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's like listening to this whole conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Um, and he did explain like how he ended up here, right?
Yep. He basically met Kiarl and he was disillusioned with everything about Arcadia and the people of power, what they've been doing, so he decided to found a cooperative with her.
Okay. Goff's gonna turn to Kiarl, his head towards her. I don't know where she is in relation to him, but
Yeah, she's like a little behind you in the other corner of the room.
Archdruid, if I may address you.
I'm listening.
Oh my god.
It's her
I'm
brother. It's her sister.
it's just yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just what was hitting me.
I come to believe that you founded this place for you disagree with the way Evendell is run as well. Am I correct in believing that?
Well, she ain't far from the truth of the matter, yeah.
And your intentions line up with Grovik's?
That's correct.
Hmm.
While the druids are up in their leaves bickering, arguing about how they're best to serve the forests, people out here suffer. I couldn't
Yes.
just idly sit by and let that happen.
It is a problem no matter where we go. I understand that. You've forgive me for my silence.
Well, you are not the only one here, certainly. A number of your comrades might have something to contribute.
Well, I mean, you know, the more that you go after caravans, the higher the chances that one of those days someone's gonna come after you, besides us.
That is true.
And I think your brother is aware, at least to some extent, of what's going on here. At least he knew you were involved and just chose not to.
You see
Stop
Kiarl
you.
scoff a little bit and says, "Wow, that soft belly."
I mean, he told us your name.
Yeah, but I don't see him here. I don't see
Well,
him come in person. He's too much of a coward.
well, he was also dealing with a bunch of bickering druids, so you are right on the money there.
You see Gravik pause a little bit, and he seems to be in thought. He says, "Perhaps, well, you may need some time to think on this, but perhaps we can help each other."
What do you have in mind?
You see, while my oath has charged me with guarding the ancient places deep below this earth, with protecting those who might seek to exploit what they find in the ruins, there are yet things that might benefit from those same ruins. So I have a proposal for you. There is a ruin nearby. It is like many that you might have seen across this realm, all black steel and green lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes, we are quite familiar with them.
suspect that this particular ruin might hold a few things that might be of interest, perhaps to both of us. For ourselves, some sort of agricultural technology that might make the land here a bit less fallow. It would obviate the need for us to continue our bandit raids, and things should settle into relative peace. And as for why it might benefit you, well,
Does
there it might benefit maybe less so yourself, but those who sent you here. You see, there are certain people who have been scouring these ruins of late, and it has given me some concern that perhaps they bear a threat to the people here. Individuals in white robes that have been searching these ruins looking for something, I know not what, but perhaps it will be of interest. And if not, then when you return, if you can assure me that it is no threat, then perhaps I can instead offer you some information of those. And he looks over at Kiarl, who is kind of like squinting at him a little bit. Of those who backed us when we initially began.
information on those who backed them? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
That sounds interesting to me.
Wait, backed them how? Making the
Might
village? I don't.
be whoever, possibly whoever freed him as well.
That's true.
Yes. When you were freed from the Arcadian prison, did you meet anyone?
There were a number of people, yes.
Do you know? Are these the people you could give us information about?
I believe so.
Do you have substantial information about these people,
I
other
will
than
tell
they're
you all
wearing
that I
black
know.
leather?
I can give you maybe not names, but code names.
Hmm.
And perhaps their motivations as well. As much as I have ascertained.
That would be of help to us, yes. I have a question.
Of course.
What is it that I or we can do to ensure that that boy's punishment is rescinded? It is our responsibility that he failed, and I wish to take that responsibility. Could we give you coin? Could it be part of your deal?
Coin has no need here.
I asked him to help us, and he did.
And
And
I
I want to pay
understand
him
that. I
back.
appreciate your honesty. And he seems to, you see Carol kind of look up a little bit and kind of give him a serious look. And he relents a little bit and he says, but if you wish me to rescind his punishment, then perhaps I will make that part of the arrangement if you agree to go look into these ruins.
Your
And
punishments, are these so strict based on how few your resources are, or is this based upon a creed?
It is simply, what is the term, an eye for an eye?
Yes,
A
The
punishment
freedom here
proportionate to the
comes
crime?
at a very high cost.
We have certain tenets here, rules to live by. Always look after your neighbor. Look at them as your brother or sister. And no killing. It is forbidden. And so, the punishment for death is death. You have to understand, this is what I must do in a town that has many people who, among them, were former bandits themselves. This kind of show of force is the only thing that can be understood. Self-defense is a different matter. Without cause is the problem.
I am no stranger to killing life for a life. I grew up all around it, as I assure you did. Maybe the madmans were different. I don't know.
The
But
Madmains were barbarians.
in a manner of
That's fair.
speaking, I have complicated and unsure feelings about that. It's less the death for a death and more the second example, which I am questioning. We are entirely responsible. We are the ones who show force of power towards your boys and girls or whoever, your people. We are the ones who use them to get to here. And this is not any fault of theirs. They were quite effective until we intervened. They were doing their job. They were not killing
And I can
anyone.
appreciate your
They were
honesty in this matter.
restraining the people. They were not harming them, and they were doing it as they were supposed to. It is only because of us that they
I
failed. And
completely
I wish
understand that.
to erase that mistake because it does not belong to them, it belongs to us.
I understand your concern and your consideration, and I find it respectable. That is why I am saying, if for your own recompense you wish to wipe his slate clean and take on that responsibility yourself, I will consider his punishment absolved if you look into this room, among other things that I am willing to divulge.
I will turn to the group and be like, and just kind of say, well, what do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Do you think you can make a community of farmers and words
Self-reliant,
Se-
self-sufficient,
self-sufficient community here of these people? You've lived a life for a very long time of a parasite. I feel like some might not be so willing to get rid of that easier life.
If only it were really that easy. No, I think they will listen to me. You have seen how they respond to me.
I turned to the archdruid. Is the ground here so affected that spending some time enriching the land would not work through earthly magic? Referring to plant growth.
It's not so much that as what is required to feed all these souls. Even druidic magic has its limits. We are working in a mighty small space here.
If I were to cast my own spell, would that help at all?
For a time. But we're talking about something that might set us up for the foreseeable future.
Hmm.
The
All right.
the ruins that Sir Gravik speaks of, whatever those who came before us were doing there, had to do with some sort of alchemical mixtures of varying qualities. I think some of it might have had properties to enrich this land. So,
And this ruin, forgive me for misunderstanding if I do. You said your goal was to guard the ancient places of this earth,
That is correct.
and
And that is why I asked for your
you
assistance.
cannot go in. It is against your duty. Is that correct?
It is not against my duty, but I have responsibilities here.
So those who protect the ancient ruins can go within them. They are not meant to leave them untouched. They can.
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood. I just did not fully understand. I have not
Part of
spoken
my
this long with
responsibility
it.
is to research and understand what is within. And this particular ruin, from the cursory examinations I did in my youth, had things that I think can help us here, but also dangerous things, which might be what these white-robed individuals are looking for.
It's as likely. Most individuals that are unknown these days are looking for something terrible and destructive.
Very well. I will leave it to your consideration if you wish to assist us.
All right, I think we will discuss for a moment. Thank you for your time and your patience.
Of course.
Unless any of my friends have anything else they wish to say, I will gesture to everyone.
I've got the mind to visit those ruins.
I'll nod.
If we decide to do this, unless we want to decide to do it right now, do you have a guide stone or something to lead us there so that we don't have to get swallowed by this place?
You should find it fairly easily. But if you wish, I can provide you a guide stone so you can find your way back here.
Maybe we already have a guide stone. Does it go wherever we're trying to go, or does it only go the one
It
place?
doesn't work on this place because this has got archdruid magic over it, which is why the guide
Oh.
stone was different.
Oh.
And why Alonso was proposing
Oh.
the ritual.
I think a guide stone to return would be quite helpful, yes.
Very well. And he kind of waves a hand, and one of the nearby guards fishes into a satchel at his side and produces one of these modified guide stones that glows a very dim yellowish green, and he hands it to you.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else we need to know if we decide to do this? Do we need to check to let you know, or should we just go? Need to tell anyone?
I'm sorry, out of character. What? I don't understand the question.
Like, is
What you're-
Goff just saying, like, do we need to, like, tell him when we're going, or can we just go whenever?
Simply let me know if you agree to these terms, and I will
Okay.
consider it
Okay.
a debt paid.
All right, we will discuss this then. I guess we walk out.
Okay. So as you walk out of the great house, in order to discuss your next moves and ponder Gravik's offer, that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
The blood, there comes.
Got that fucking big moral questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get coming at us hard with that anti-capitalism energy.
Yep.
Yes, please.
I don't know. I'm just like, as a player and also kind of as a character, I'm not fully convinced yet. I feel like there's something that I'm missing. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm
I
just.
mean, I think
cynical about
you're not
everything.
really missing anything. It's just that he's got sort of like a real brutal attitude toward the way he
Yeah,
handles
like
things, and also he's got a cult of personality around him, so he's a little,
yeah,
Yeah,
bit,
it's a little bit culty.
he's
it's
a
a
little
little
bit on
culty.
the iffy side, but also like the people here, it's like an actual town, and they're not bad people. It's just maybe their
Yeah,
leader's a
that's
little
It's like
low,
all
little bad.
gray. It's like fucking like for the most part, it's like all gray. It's like fucking with me. I don't know what to say. That's why like we were talking to him, and I just sat there and I was like, I was like sitting here trying to like I'm like already sleepy, and my eye, like, the gears in my brain were turning like really slow, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't know what to say to this. This is like really hard to think about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mm,
Hmm.
mm.
See,
I don't know
it's hard because I'm just like, well, yeah, but you shouldn't steal, and Silsa's just like, yeah, let him steal.
Yeah, it's chaotic neutral. She give a shit.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see what's wrong with this.
Kirite
I
doesn't
mean,
like
you're
it.
gonna get fucking punked in the end, but you know that's not my problem.
She's just like, no, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ooh.
So
I'm
I
gonna
say
stop recording.
we'll probably have one more session next week, and then the week after that will be off because of Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers!
Shadowbringers.
Will be
Shadowbringers!
brought.
Whoa!
And then we can decide the following weekend if y'all also want to skip that game as well.
Yeah.
I am going to be working that day, but I will get up when it comes out because it comes out 3 hours before I got to go to work. So.
Oh no, Lauren.
God.
Oh no.
I
You'll be
did
there.
that I did that in Heaven's Word when I had to work at Chili's. I got up really early. I don't remember what I did for Stormblood.
This is
Get a lot of sleep. What?
Twitter.
This
Look
is
at
gonna
what
be
Jen just posted.
this is gonna be the first expansion where I actually have the time off. Like the last two expansions, I was in school at the time, so I still had to go to classes and shit. So I couldn't play like round the clock, but now I can.
Which thing did Jen post? Was it the thing that I sent you?
It's more.
Or I'm not seeing it.
They just posted it 52 seconds ago.
52
Anyway,
seconds.
thank you all for solving my communism puzzle.
Oh, it didn't show up.
I think it's
Oh, I see it now. I
I'm like,
understand.
I like this now. This is good.
This is
even
good.
better.
See, it's better when it's like this because
It's
everyone's
better
just
when
like
Wolf is
woo.
choking the shit out of him.
It's better when everyone's just like woo woo. It's romantic, and I'm like, have you played this game? Black Rum.
I want it.
I'm gonna stop
Gross and
recording.
mean. Okay.
Oh, you